they'll be very grateful to you. Right of you. So I hand over to Original Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So, because Sridham Prabhu is running behind, we will start the offerings earlier. And I'd just like to encourage anybody who hasn't notified me so far that they would like to give an offering, that it's still open. So continue to either send me a message via the chat, or you can send me a message by WhatsApp. I'll keep an eye on my phone. In this way, we can make some progress. So I would like, if possible, that Rasika Mataji, if you can start your offering, that would be very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes, it's very appropriate that you speak first. You have been in the mission for a long time. You've been Maharaj's disciple for a very long time.
You put me on the spot here, Prabhu. I was hoping to hear you all. Yeah. But anyway, I better get over and, get it on. Yeah. Dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. And thank you for inviting me to today's Vyasa Puja program. You are all very qualified God brothers and sisters. I am not that qualified to speak, but I will try. I will share a disciples' meetings experience with Guru Maharaj present at this meeting at Prem Sankirtan Prabhu and Radhika Priya Mataji's house. This was a long time ago. At this meeting, Maharaj requested everyone to speak in turn on what we are doing for our Krishna consciousness. For example, like reading, services, associations, sanghas, things like that. So my husband, Tribangananda Prabhu, was also present, and Maharaj also asked if anybody has questions, then you can put questions forward. So he asked question to Maharaj that, what is your advice on hearing from a Mayavadi preacher who perform katha in big pandals? So Guru Maharaj was a bit puzzled that Tribangananda Prabhu putting this question forward. But he answered that a devotee should hear from bona fide speaker who is following the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, as hearing from these Mayavadi philosophers can be very confusing for us. So when my turn came to speak, and instead of asking question, I did a confession that Guru Maharaj, I confess that it is Tribangananda Prabhu is asking this question because of me, because as my job, I am a librarian and I had to listen and seek qualities of videos donated of Morari Bapu Kathas, which was donated to my library. We did not have video facility at my work to do this. So I skim watched few videos at my home and he was disturbed. It was disturbing to Tribangananda Prabhu that I am seriously listening and following these kathas. He was very concerned. So katha was in Gujarati and Hindi language, so he could not even understand it. Guru Maharaj smiled then, and again he explained that we must only listen to bona fide speakers who are following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But as your work, if you have to do this, then you can't help it. But sincerely and seriously serve in ISKCON and read and hear from Srila Prabhupada's books, and that will keep you connected and not confused. And he even also said that listen to your husband at the time, yeah. And then later at the end of program, when we ended, we all had a personal kind of darshan. Maharaj would we all went and paid obeisances, and somebody would bring some little prasad. So Maharaj gave me a cookie. I paid my obeisances, and I said, "Sorry, Guru Maharaj, I have to do this as my job, and it is my work, and I understand." And Guru Maharaj really laughed like this, and he said, "Mataji, thank you for confessing in front of everybody." And he said, "I really appreciate your sincerity, and please carry on sincerely serving in ISKCON and do your services and assist everybody, whoever you can." So that was my offering, and thank you all for connecting me. I'm really happy to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad that we told you first. To give a very nice.
I was very nervous, Prabhu.
Yes, but you did the best start because it was a very nice experience. That
I really relished, and also I would just say I'm really missing Guru Maharaj and all of you and all the yatras we used to go on. And I'm now reminiscing all these times in yatras and all. And I'm just, I think it's so important for my benefit to relish these times and pastimes, and little connections with Maharaj for moments like this are so valuable. And I really, that has kept me going in this COVID situation. And I miss all of you. So I was so chuffed when Radha Mohan Prabhu invited me, because I'm very close to all of you as well. So thank you for your kindness. Thank you all.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
So, Dinam Prabhu, if I could ask you to speak next, that would be a pleasure for us.
Sure, Prabhuji. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामी नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। Jai. I'm so humbled and honored to be in the association of my god brothers, god sisters after so many months or even a couple of years now, at least online, and my gratitude and obeisances to all of you. I would like to narrate 3 pastimes of Maharaj about his physical strength, just to brighten up everyone, just to reminisce some of the pastimes I've heard. And I selected these pastimes because everyone is very conscious of Maharaj's spiritual strength. But just like Lord Hanuman, he's got both spiritual and physical strength. These pastimes are very special and beautiful to me, so I thought I will share with them. So the first is when Maharaj was preaching as a brahmachari in American universities, there was one particular person who kept opposing him, and he was very blasphemous in his words. So the students who were following Maharaj, they once told him, "Why don't you challenge him?" So one day this person was opposing, and Maharaj said, "Okay, I challenge you for a fight." And this person was very excited. He said, "Yes, let's do this." Maharaj said, "We won't do any boxing or kicking, but let us do some push-ups, and whoever does more will win." So he said, "Okay." So they did push-ups, and it went on to like 200 plus, and ultimately that person was flat on the ground, and Maharaj was just laughing all throughout. And after that, that person stopped doing that. So I thought that was a very nice way of stopping hindrances to preaching. So I like this pastime very much. Another pastime is Maharaj was on a yatra, and it somehow happened that they had to lift the shutter of a shop for some reason, and all the devotees were trying together and they could not. And again, Maharaj was laughing, and then he came in, and then with one hand he pulled the shutter up. So all the devotees were really amazed, how he could do that. And there is another pastime with our guest speakers. Sri Rama Prabhu told us this pastime many years ago. So many of us have been to Jagannath Puri, and we know how strong the ocean is. So on this occasion, Maharaj was swimming in the ocean. He advises devotees not to go into the ocean because it's really powerful. But as we know, Maharaj is a good swimmer as well. So he was swimming in the ocean. And Sri Rama Prabhu doesn't know, or he didn't knew swimming at the time. So Maharaj said, "Come, I will help you swim in the ocean." So he said, Maharaj, I don't know swimming. So he said, don't worry, you just hold my feet and I will take you for a swim. Now, for those of you who know swimming, that if your feet are held by someone, you can't swim. Try that experience. Maharaj, he had Sridhama Prabhu, all grown up man, holding both of his feet, and he took him for a swim in the ocean. And Sridhama Prabhu was saying, all throughout, he had the wonderful association and blessing and mercy of holding Maharaj's feet to his head like this. And he was swimming throughout. So I pray to Maharaj on this day that, oh Maharaj, please give us a fraction of the mercy of what you've given to Sridhama Prabhu on that day, where you allowed him to hold your feet and you swam him across the ocean of Puri. So similarly, please help us take shelter of the feet of all your disciples, of all your devotees, so that we can swim across this material world. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Dheerabh Prabhu, for sharing those stories. Sri Dhamma Prabhu is definitely very fortunate amongst all of us.
Hari Bol.
So I'd like to ask next Damodar Vilas Prabhu, if you're online, please share with us your offering.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristha Bhutle Srimati Radhanath Swami Maharaj Iti Namne. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristha Bhutle Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Namaste Sarasti Deve Gaurvani Prachane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtadestane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna. Dear Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It gives me immense pleasure to wish you a very happy 71st appearance day. Although we have been going through difficult times due to the ongoing pandemic, lockdowns, which restricts freedom of movement, benefit of the temple visits, devotee association. However, the new technologies have somehow made things easier and shortened the distances. I am therefore able to read and hear your messages and instructions for the betterment of my spiritual knowledge. What to say more? With your mercy, it was great to have the virtual yatra of Vrindavan in 2020 and various places in Kolkata revisiting memories of Srila Prabhupada in 2021 and the virtual association of so many devotees. While hearing you, I felt as if you were present with us in our own home. Dear Maharaj, please bestow your kindness and extend your blessings in this way so we can always feel your presence in our life and advance spiritually with your merciful glance. At the current unsettled times around the world, read one of your very encouraging quote yesterday only, that everything is changing constantly at every moment, but the real beauty of life is throughout these changes. The underlying current of truth never changes. And if we can connect ourselves to the beauty of this truth, we can be stable through all the unpredictable uncertainties of life. To end, I will request you to kindly bless this insignificant servant of yours, as I have also become 7-year-old as Damodar Vilas Das on your appearance day, that is 7th of December. Always in your service of Srila Prabhupada, all the devotees of Lord Krishna, Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda, your most insignificant servant, Damodar Vilas Das. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Heartfelt, sincere prayer. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gaurnataraj Prabhu, are you available? And
Okay, do you want me to do, or shall I
yes,
play the videos?
So Prabhu, you can
Do my offering?
Yes, and then Lalita Priti Mataji you can either do a video, or then we can
Okay.
pass straight on to Mataji. Which
Yeah,
one will
sure.
you?
Okay.
And then Sumedha can go after Mataji.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll read my offering, and then maybe good idea if I can just show a couple of small videos, and then I hand over to Sumedh and Lalita Priti. Yeah, if that's okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I just a note, I put you further on the list than I thought. I was going to put you at the top, but I put you further down.
No problem. I'm ready for this, Prabhu. Expect the unexpected in this material world. Hare Krishna. So this is anyway nice surprise, and anyway, so I'm ready to read my offering. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity of reading my offering to my dear Gurudev, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So my experience is not personal. It's not Vapu. My association is Vani. Whatever I speak about Maharaj is only through Vani. So I only met Maharaj only a couple of occasions, very briefly. But I've heard about Maharaj time and again. And a couple of gems I collected, and I thought I would just share with you all, which will demonstrate the quality of Maharaj. So the first one I chose was about the Maharaj's, when Maharaj went to Sri Rangam. So he had received a grand welcome, and the temple leader, Murli Bhatt, he offered garlands, and he paid his obeisances to Maharaj. And in turn, Maharaj paid him obeisances. This leader was a Grihastha householder. So when he offered his full dandavats, obeisances to Maharaj, Maharaj in turn offered obeisances, full dandavats to him. And they were shocked a little bit. You are a sannyasi. How come you offer full obeisances to me? I'm an householder. Maharaj said to him, I'm offering obeisances to you as a servant of the Lord. If one is a servant of the Lord, doesn't matter, one can be offered obeisances. So I heard this from recent Vyasa Puja from one of the God brothers. So I thought I would share that quality. And secondly, the Govardhan Eco Village deities were named Radha, Vrindavan, Bihari or Vihari, it was not sure. You know that in Sanskrit we call it Vihari. In Bengali they call it Bihari. So when Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, he was about to publish a calendar on Govardhan Eco Village. So he asked Gauranga Prabhu, what is it like? What are the names? What are the names of our deities? Is it Radha, Vrindavan, Vihari or Bihari? So Gauranga Prabhu said to Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, just go and ask Maharaj. So Gauranga Darshan Prabhu went to Maharaj and said, Maharaj, what are the names of our deities at Govardhan Eco Village? Maharaj said, if you are a Sanskrit scholar, then it is Radha, Vrindavan, Vihari. But if you are a Bengali Vaishnav, it is Radha, Vrindavan, Bihari. So, and then he was a little bit confused, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. Maharaj, so what should I print the calendar? Like, I'm about to print the calendar. So Maharaj said to him that in this search, we have Veda base, we have folio. So you do search. How many times Prabhupada used Bihari? How many times Prabhupada used Vihari? And Gauranga Darshan Prabhu did a search, and Maharaj himself conducted a search. And so Maharaj said, see, Prabhupada said Bihari. Many times Bihari. So our mood and mission is to follow the senior acharyas. So Prabhupada called it Bihari, we should call it Bihari. And then he explained to Gauranga Darshan Prabhu that in Sanskrit, Prabhupada translated this word mellow as, rasa as mellow. We have 5 rasas. Rasa means actually juice, but Prabhupada translated it as mellow. And the reason Maharaj explained, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati used that translation. For rasa, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati used mellow. That's why Prabhupada used mellow instead of juice. So our mood and mission should be following the footsteps of our senior acharya. So that depicts how Maharaj, how Maharaj is very careful in following Prabhupada and the mood and his mission. The another one I have is, I heard is that in Chaupati temple, they do Mangalarti starting from 5 o'clock. Maharaj, every day when he's there, he used to be there, Mangalarti sharp 5 o'clock. And I heard that Maharaj had developed some back pain. So he was not able to stand for longer times. And even when he had a back pain, Maharaj used to come and sharply at 5 o'clock and sit in front of the deities on a chair and be present for full Mangalarti, although he was not able to, he was in severe pain. So the devotees were explaining that how Maharaj sets a good example for others. Even though it was difficult, Maharaj used to come and fully present. Many people suggested, Maharaj, you have back pain, there is no need to come for you need not to come for Mangalarti. No, Maharaj used to come and sit on that. So those are the 3 things, and we know that Maharaj, is Maharaj can preach to the wider audience. Sometimes we think, we can only preach to the Indian or Western or only one sect, but Maharaj, attracted all varieties of people, like, from in India, from great scholars and great intellects, as well as just people who don't know anything, who can't speak English. Maharaj attracted, and Maharaj also attracted in the West so many people from Western world. So when I look at this, I remember the first verse of Nectar of Instruction. Those for the one who is able to control all the urges, and then one can make disciples all over the world. So when I think of that, I remember that verse. So on this occasion, I beg the blessings of Srila Gurudev for me to carry on in the service of Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice to you. Very nice to you.
Thank you.
I can say, Prabhuji, yes, your hearing is one of your best qualities. Hare Krishna. It's revealed again.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so now if have I got your permission to show a couple of videos?
Please. Yes.
Okay, Haribol. So, dear devotees, have selected short clips consisting of 3 to 7 minutes length, and because usually Maharaj lectures are quite lengthy, so that's the reason I've only chosen clips where we can collect the nectar drops, Amrita drops. So I'll be showing a couple of video clips now. So just one second. share sound.
The potential in everyone, and he had such deep faith, potential in everyone.
Are you able to hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Swami.
And he had such deep faith in the process of Krishna consciousness, in the association of devotees. One devotee who was having really a hard time, Prabhupada wrote him a letter and said, because you sincerely chanted Hare Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna will deliver you. How Krishna delivers us is in Krishna's hands. That faith was his surrender. His surrender, even after accomplishing so much from nothing, against all odds in every way, he would tell us, it is all the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. He has done everything. And then Prabhupada would become emotional. He said, it is all because of all of you. You have done all this because you are representatives of my Guru Maharaj. Surrender is so sweet, it's so beautiful. It's so all-encompassing in the path of pure devotional service. It's where we give our hearts to our Gurus and Krishna. And Prabhupada wanted us to give our hearts to each other. So many of my God brothers and God sisters have departed from this world. At Govardhan Eco Village we have a shrine which is a memorial for departed Vaishnavas within our own congregation and among Gaudiya Math leaders as well as Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Just a few months ago, by Krishna's grace, I was at the bedside of His Holiness Gunagrahi Swami Maharaj, who in his surrender to Prabhupada brought so many people to Krishna consciousness. He departed from the world. Srila Prabhupada's personal secretary at one time, the last time I saw Pushta Krishna, Swami was Prabhupada's personal secretary. We could talk so many stories about him. He just passed away from this world. So truly, and we see how many of Srila Prabhupada's direct followers, whether they had physical association with him or not, they surrendered to give their lives to assist him, trying to follow in his footsteps against all odds. And really, the whole idea of parampara is not just the parampara of Diksha Gurus or Shiksha Gurus. It also can be expanded of the parampara of devotional community, built on the mercy, the grace, and the knowledge of the Diksha Gurus and Shiksha Gurus. But that is being entrusted to the next generation. And all of you to lead an example wherein you can entrust it to the next generation. And that's going to be dependent on the example that you give, the example of this sweetest, most beautiful of all qualities. Surrender. Sharanagati. Krishna, I'm yours in any situation. Ahoitaki aprati hata, without motivation and without interruption. Srila Prabhupada, in developing this movement, he was interrupted in every way. His health, the people around him, the circumstances, the finances. He was constantly being interrupted. but his spirit was never interrupted. That is surrender.
RG Media.
So that's one video, Prabhus, and then I'll show you this as well.
In society, people love people and use things. But unfortunately, so much in this world, people love things and use people to get them and to keep them. Unfortunately, there can be no inner satisfaction in our life in such a state of consciousness. I was recently told of one very influential doctor in America. Regularly, he would get his newspaper from a little boy whose leg was crippled. This doctor felt a certain compassion for him and decided he can't afford it, but I will arrange a surgery. So we went to a local medical hospital and told them, if you give me the facilities for free, I will teach how to do the surgery to all your medical students. So it was all arranged. And he went and told the little boy, I will fix your leg so that you could run and play with all the other children. And the little boy looked up at him and said, this is a really good thing, because if you teach other people how to do this for free, then so many other people like me will also benefit. So the day of the surgery came, and they were in the theater for the operation. The doctor and all the staff were together, and the students, they were behind glass with closed-circuit TV watching everything. And the little boy was wheeled in. And the doctor told all the students exactly what he was about to do. And he said to the little boy, I will fix your leg. And the little boy looked up at him. Just before he went into his sleep from anesthesia, the boy said, Doctor, I think that you're a really wonderful person, and I pray that God will bless you for your kindness to me. The boy went to sleep. After the successful surgery, the doctor told all the students what he had done, and then he said, with tears in his eyes, he said, over the years, I have done surgeries for super VIPs, multimillionaires, billionaires. I have made great fortunes from my surgeries. With great emotion, he then said, but I can tell you, I never experienced so much meaning, fulfillment, and happiness as when I heard the words of appreciation of this little child.
Maharaj, as Krishna said, he will be the most happiest if he worship his devotees. But in these days of Kali Yuga, when we human beings are so uncertain in our behavior and activities, it's very difficult to find a very common.
Sorry, a little problem here. Yeah. Sorry, Prabhus, there was a little problem here, and I'm back on track. Just bear with me for a few seconds. Yes, I'm back.
Maharaj, As Krishna said, he will be the most happiest if he worship his devotees. But in these days of Kali Yuga, when we human beings are so uncertain in our behavior and activities, it's very difficult to find a very common balanced man all the time. So under these conditions, how do we identify a real devotee?
If you are sincere, Krishna will give you the intelligence to identify. If you are insincere, he will give you the intelligence to misidentify. So first thing, if you really want Krishna consciousness, if you really want it, it is explained that the quality of a devotee is that they are striving not for personal ambitions, but they are striving to serve. They're striving to always remember Krishna. Where you see that they are coming together to chant the holy names, they are living pure lives. They are not going after the objects of the senses. They are anxious to hear the glories of the Lord. If they are following the authorized process of Guru Parampara, accepting a spiritual master who is honestly and sincerely following the previous lines of great saints, then we can understand that these are real devotees of the Lord. They are giving up sense gratification. They may be working, they may be having jobs, but what do they do with their free time? They come to temple, they chant, they dance, they chant japa. What do they do at home? They don't sit in front of television sets. They read the scriptures. They serve the sadhus. They serve the society. Of course, it is true that we are not omnipresent. We do not know what they may be doing when we go away. But if we find that they are sincere and consistent, as far as we can see and what we can hear, and if we are sincere for the proper thing, then Krishna will give us the right persons. No doubt. He's in your heart directing you. And He's also in your heart, and He's creating what faith you have. If you have the right motive, He will give you the right faith and the right person. But we have to, according to our capacity, discriminate according to what I have just explained. Srila Prabhupada used to say, how do you know who the best devotee? The person most addicted to Krishna. The person who is always talking about Krishna. The person who is always doing something for Krishna. The person who is intoxicated by Krishna only, and who is His humble servant.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Those are the 3 videos for this slot. I think Lalita Preeti is ready to offer our offering. Do you want to proceed?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for beautiful 3 videos. Well chosen, Prabhuji. Heart melting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mancha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. So all respects to all the devotees. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Putre Srimate Radhanath Swami Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Putre Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini. So wish you very happy New Year to all the devotees. And it's a bit delayed Vyasa Puja for Maharaj, and we are missing that association of doing in temple nicely. We all sitting together. It's not that close anyway, but it's still nice to have this rather than not having anything. It's nice that we could attend so many Vyasa Pujas. We had one in the UK Disciples one, and I was lucky to attend one in the India one as well. And it was nice to hear lots about Maharaj, nice interactions and how he corrects the devotees. and disciples. It was so nice to relish. Just I thought I'll share with you one which really touched my heart. One devotee was telling that Maharaj eats once a day. And when the prasadam was ready, a little boy peeped through the door, and then Maharaj invited and asked them to come and inside. So that boy came, and his parents came as well, because they got a chance to stay with Maharaj. Maharaj was nice, and he's talking to them. And then as soon as they came, Maharaj asked the disciple to take the prasadam away. And Maharaj was inquiring about them, and innocently the devotees were relishing the association of Maharaj, answering and just spending time with and these devotees, the disciples who were prepared prasadam were getting anxious. It's a time is passing by and Maharaj is patiently talking, and then they were saying that if one is ready to eat, if someone takes our prasadam, not prasadam, one item from the plate, we get very annoyed. And Maharaj was so patient, and he's giving his love to the family so much, not keeping his himself first. And the other pastime they mentioned was Maharaj stays with the brahmacharis, and there is and he waits in the queue for the toilet with other brahmacharis. So it's despite the age, when we are young we can do lots of things, but when we come to the late 60s and 70s and doing all that, so patient, that tolerance is, I feel, so amazing. And then I could relate to the Maharaj in his book, the holding the mongoose on the hair for those many hours. It was unimaginable how much patience and tolerance Maharaj has. And he's so personal with interaction with every devotees. As far I hear, because I didn't get chance to be with Maharaj, but when I hear that, it felt so nice. Despite he is so busy in practicing what he's doing and doing all the other things, he could spend time, and not just a physical spending time, he could connect to the devotees such a deep level, that is so amazing, I feel. So lately I was going through bit, since the COVID, it's been a bit tough, both work-wise and I have two main inspiring figures in the life. One is my father and one is Maharaj. And sometimes when I hear Maharaj and my father, the instructions come so similar, like the outlook to the other people, how to serve other people, how not to keep the self in the center. So that's I'm relishing more from Maharaj instructions, because now I know that I could not take much instruction from my father because of his aging. That gives me sort of the emptiness in the heart is filled with Guru Maharaj, and it's a nice way to surrender. And it was nice to thank Sundaranta Prabhu to engage us in the service of the Vaishnavas as well. So I pray to Maharaj that he give us his blessings to continue the service of the mission of ISKCON and the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for a very heartfelt offering, and sharing that relationship with your father and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sumedh Prabhu, are you ready to give your offering?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, I'm ready.
Very well done yesterday for hosting the quiz. Very eloquent.
It's become almost a routine service now, the quiz leading. But before I start today's offering, I just want to offer my obeisances to all the Vaishnavas here. You're not just my god brothers and sisters, you're my god uncles and aunts, so you're seniors in that regard. I'm only connected to Maharaj because of my parents and yourself as my wider family. And so I'm offering my obeisances to you and asking for mercy, because I'm junior to all of you and I really need some mercy so that I can serve, because I can't do anything without the mercy of the other devotees.
Only junior in body, Prabhu.
No, please don't say it like that. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So 2 years ago, when we did the offering in person in temple, I remember I focused heavily on Maharaj with his determination and how determined he was. I remember talking about reading the journey home, and I guess very mode of passion style. I was like, wow, this is amazing. He's got so much energy. He's going through all these difficulties and challenges. And then last year, I didn't focus so much on that determination aspect, but rather where that determination came from, because that determination is a finite resource. And the real determination, how Maharaj has that, is due to his genuine humility. You know, this quality that Maharaj has is so admirable. In all his activities, he's very genuinely humble. And that's where that determination, that empowerment comes from. But this year, something I've been meditating almost a whole year about is Maharaj's holistic method of preaching. When we see preaching activities happen, of course, it's a very important thing for our movement that we explain this philosophy to others and that we connect others to Krishna consciousness as well. Often it's described that because preaching involves that method of connection, there are different styles which occur. And we see that, you know, sometimes it's there that when we explain to one group, we are able to connect them, but then it becomes difficult to connect another group. And mainly kind of that dichotomy comes with the different methods of connection between the styles we have maybe in India versus in the Western worlds. In India, where it might be more vertical, you know, a little bit more harsh or a little bit more strict you can be. Whereas in the Western world, we're often more sensitive here. And so there's more horizontal style of preaching. And so often for devotees, those who serve in the West have one style, and those who serve in the East have a different style. And often it's difficult for them then to, a devotee who's been doing such kind of preaching in the Western world, when they go to India, that kind of preaching doesn't necessarily have so much of an effect, because that technique's a little bit different and a little bit unconnected when we go to India and things like that. And something that I've been focusing on heavily is that Maharaj has been able to connect to everyone. In the journey home, for example, Maharaj, he glorifies Srila Prabhupada so much, maybe not so directly, but glorifies so much in the sense that he shows, oh, I've experienced all these other yogis, these paths, but Srila Prabhupada is the one that really connected to me. And so in that way, that whole outreach that Maharaj was able to do through the journey home is immense. The amount of people Maharaj was able to connect to was so vast. And like it's like a film in itself, all the activities that happen there. And that whole principle of holistic connection. When we get connected with anyone, we should always try and bring them closer to Krishna, not push them further, no matter who they be. And so Maharaj has been so effective in both his preaching in the Indian side. You see the devotees there, how strong they are, how he's been able to develop them in their Krishna consciousness and go into real depth. When you see devotees like Gauranga Prabhu, Radha Gopinath Prabhu, you know, those kind of, you know, Yamis almost like really deep scholars in their devotion. But equally, Maharaj has been able to connect with those in the West, those in terms of preaching with devotees who don't have the Vedic tradition as their background, connecting them via the route of spirituality and really nurturing their growth. And this is one of the qualities of a real devotee. And when we see that, it's not just about a rejection of humanity, Maharaj really expands everyone's humanity. Maharaj really brings everyone together and really brings everyone together in the service of the Lord. And philosophically, yes, we're very strong. But that aspect of humility that Maharaj has, combined with that philosophical strength, is what makes him beautiful in dealing with everyone, no matter where you go. And so really the principle of Krishna consciousness being universal, I love the way that Radhanath Maharaj has demonstrated that he's able to connect everyone to the Lord. And that's something that I've been valuing so much. I was listening to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu speak about this, and he gave like 2 hours, I think it was, a class on Maharaj's beauty and holistic community building. And the one point I wanted to end on was that when we connect to devotees, it should be organic. Apane achara prabhu korila prachar. When we talk about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we say first he did achara, he did his own practice, and then naturally the prachar came. And that's the principle that Maharaj, always encourages every one of his followers to take, which is that we should really practice, and then naturally, just because of the way we are practicing, other people will be interested, other people will connect. So it's a very organic way of growing. And I think that this quality of Radhanath Maharaj, in holistically looking at everyone in an open-minded way and connecting everyone to Lord Krishna, is one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. And so I'm very grateful to Radhanath Maharaj for that, for his ability to connect to everyone. I sincerely pray to Maharaj that I'm able to therefore engage in the same way he has in connecting to other people, connecting to the devotees, developing my own personal sadhana while carrying out preaching, and furthering myself in the service of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. Radhanath Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much indeed for your insight. Hare Krishna. Very nice. If I can now ask Ramon Prabhu, if you're available. Hare Krishna. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, I hope you're close to the mic, Prabhu.
Yes, I've done some changes. Is it better now?
Much better, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna. This is a great day for me to be with all of my loving God brothers, God sisters, my God cousins, and I cannot find any better and happy place than be with all of you. Thank you so much for being today here and giving the session. For Maharaj's offering, I heard one or two wonderful offerings this year by some of the devotees. And I'll just repeat what I heard from them. And then I'll just add, or maybe just give my little realization on top of that, what I've heard on top of that. So this was one offering done by Gaurang Prabhu this year, where Gaurang Prabhu was mentioning that in his early days, he was, very new brahmachari, and he was, talking something to some devotees, and then Maharaj came to know about this, and that's something Maharaj didn't like. So Maharaj one day, took him into corner and said, "So you think it is like this? You think you are more advanced?" And Maharaj was kind of chastising him. And Gaurang Prabhu said, "Maharaj, how did you come to know?" And this was done something very privately. Nobody knew this. How do you know? So Maharaj said that I became devotee by Ganga, by watching Ganga or by bathing in Ganga. I can see people, I can know people just by looking at their faces. So, you cannot hide anything from me. And then I heard this another offering by another devotee, that how Maharaj, his whole life is actually so much, Ganga has so much, because Maharaj considers Ganga as his mother, how much Ganga has played so much vital part in his life. So we know that Maharaj, when he was in Himalayas, he used to go in the middle of this rock in Ganga and used to meditate the whole day. And here this devotee, I think it was Madhvanand Prabhu, he was mentioning that Maharaj, once they went to Yatra and they went to Gangotri, the real, the high up in the north. And everybody went there, and I think Madhvan Prabhu said, that he water was so cold, he just went inside and he came outside within few seconds. Maharaj, he went inside and he chanted his Gayatri, while submerged in the cold water of Ganga. And I think he said that while he was chanting, one kind of ice came through, and it hit Maharaj. And I think it injured his body, but still he continued his Gayatri. So we can see how Maharaj, he is so much Ganga is so much important in his life. And when I heard about this Gaurang Prabhu's pastime, that Maharaj can see just by looking at the face, it is scary. At the same time, it is a little happy occasion that when we go in front of Maharaj, without we saying anything to him, he has the whole report on our face, what we are feeling and what we are going through. So just meditating on this, being with Maharaj. There's another offering I heard was that this devotee was mentioning that it is always very important to be in close connection with your Guru. You should always go and see your Guru. Whenever there is an opportunity, you should go and take the physical association of the Guru. But more than the physical association, it is one has to be close to the heart of the Guru. Physical association definitely very important, but to be close to the heart of the Guru, it is the most important thing. So in last 2 years, we haven't seen Maharaj, and I personally, for me, just seeing Maharaj, when it comes to Manor, some other temples, and just being with him in the class, and then hearing from his lotus mouth, and even if I don't get to speak to him, I'm fine. Just being with him, it is sufficient for me. But last 2 years, we haven't had Maharaj's darshan, and it is going to such an extent that it is becoming like a very painful situation that we are not able to see Maharaj. But when I heard this from this devotee that one has to be close to the heart of the Guru. So I was then I was the one class, then I had another class, and it all came out to be that Maharaj always mentions every time to all his devotees, all his disciples, that one has to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the devotee. And I heard it so many times that I'm such a dull-headed person that I don't understand what exactly that instruction means. But when I went through this series of classes, so when we have to be close to the heart of Maharaj, so what is the close to the heart of Maharaj? There are two things. One is Prabhupada, another is Vrindavan. So there are two close things with Maharaj's heart. And when we talk about Vrindavan, Vrindavan, of course, it is a place, holy place, but Vrindavan is also consciousness. So what is consciousness? What is a Vrindavan consciousness? Vrindavan consciousness is to become the servant of the servant of the servant. All the gopis, all the devotees, they always want other devotees to be very close to Krishna rather than they being close to Krishna. So the Maharaj, he is always in Vrindavan consciousness. As Radhanath was mentioning that he offered his obeisances to this pujari, who was a grahastha, Maharaj being sannyasi, but still he offered his obeisances. So Maharaj always followed this achar and prachar. He himself is practicing. He is showing through his own example how to become the servant of the servant. So Vrindavan consciousness is to become the servant of the servant. So if you want to have, so if you want to, this is again for my own personal purification. If I have to be close to be with the Maharaj heart, then I have to be the servant of the servant. There is no other way to be close with Maharaj than being the servant of the devotees. And while I was writing this offering, I was doing some short forms. Servant of a servant is a long word. Servant of a servant. So I was putting SOS, SOS, SOS. And then it just occurred to me, SOS is also used for some emergency. When you have some emergency, you say make a SOS call. I said it fits in very well. We are all in emergency in this material world, and we have to do an SOS call. So how do we become SOS call? We have to become the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And that's how we save ourselves, and we also become close to our Guru Maharaj. So on this day, I am so happy to be with all of you, and I, through your lotus feet, I want to pray to the Maharaj that Maharaj, that may I never have to feel the separation of your presence, and that this pain of being away from you for this long time, may this be over very soon, and then may my life, I had never have to experience this such separation ever again in this lifetime. So I thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the SOS realization. Hare Krishna. Very nice. Viraj Mataji, would you like to follow after you, Prabhu? And thereafter, Balaram wants to speak, he may.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhayascha patitanam Krishna Prashtar Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Tinanam Vishnupada Krishna Prashtar Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinanam Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyati Paschatya Deshata. Dearest Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. You are the most wonderful person I have ever known in my life. I was so miserable before coming to Krishna consciousness, and you showed me how to become happy by following the path given by Srila Prabhupada. As a Guru, you have awakened, nurtured, and nourished our faith in the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Without your mercy, this was not possible at all. You have awakened our Krishna consciousness through your hours and hours of lectures. You have nurtured and nourished our Krishna consciousness through the love and compassion you have given to each and every one of us. I am lame in my Krishna consciousness, and Maharaj, you are like a stick who always supports me with the mercy of your grace and love. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for accepting this insignificant fool like me in the service of Srila Prabhupada. Your servant, Priyarani Devidasi.
Thanks for speaking like a true mother. As you talk about nourishment. Hare Krishna Mataji. Very nice. Balaram, I don't want to wait on the spot, but if you would like, here's an opportunity to speak.
That's fine. I haven't prepared anything, but I'll say what I can think of Maharaj. For me, what's always hit me about Maharaj personally in the heart is his smile. I've found for so long, and since my first memory of Maharaj, his smile is so sweet and genuine. His smile goes into your soul almost. Like Sumedh was saying, he's always able to connect with anyone he meets. And I think a great way that he does that is through his smile, because it really hits you. It's like you're talking or just seeing a very genuine person who really is very positive and very calm. his smile always uplifts my mood. Whenever I see him, whenever we go to the mana, and whenever he's doing a class there, even if I'm looking at it through a TV in the other room because it's so crowded, it always uplifts my mood, and it puts me in a different mood only from all this this material life, because you're not surrounded by devotees and you're not always thinking of Krishna. But when you see Maharaj, he almost like that smile only makes you want to serve Krishna more and serve his devotees. So I always really enjoy looking at his smile when I see him. I think his humility is also a very amazing quality of his. I think my dad was telling me about this South India Yatra. When I was a kid, we went to a South India Yatra that Maharaj was doing. And I was very small, so I don't remember much, but my dad took lots of videos, and he keeps like telling these pastimes, these stories of these yatras. He was telling me that in South India, in the temples, all the big pujaris and the big, those people, they wanted to honor Maharaj with a really big festival and really big gathering, and with like garlands, hundreds and hundreds of people, elephants and everything. But Maharaj is usually he doesn't like being at the center of everything. He likes being in the corner, being very he's very down to earth. But because the devotees were insisting so much over there, he was like, okay, I'll do it. I don't want to, but I'll do it. And that really hit me, how much humility he had. Because if it's a normal person, they'd be like, oh, look, I've got such a big ceremony for myself. But his humility is so strong, that he's still humble in those circumstances. Even his devotion is very great. I remember hearing that when he was staying in Vrindavan, he had a lot of jobs and services that it would take up the whole day. He'd have hardly any rest. I think only 2 hours in at some point in the nighttime. And then he'd be like, okay, at least I've got that. But eventually some devotees were like, oh, we also need some kirtan services for the deities. So, and it's for 2 hours during that time. And they asked him, and he was like, okay, I'll do that. So he had so much devotion to Krishna that he would hardly spend any part of the day resting. And I think that's really important. I really want to take a lot of these qualities of Maharaj and try to apply it to my life, because it's such an example in my life and such a big part of it. So yeah, Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So you did have a lot to say, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So thank you for joining us, Balaram. We really appreciate your input.
Rayalal Prabhu, can I play a couple of video clips now, small ones?
Yes, Prabhu. Good time.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Okay, hopefully the sound should come. Yeah, sound option is there. Okay.
The two great enemies for any spiritual aspirant is ego and lethargy. The two great enemies for any spiritual aspirant is ego and lethargy. Lethargy means complacency. Thinking we have some comfortable situation in this world. Thinking everything is all right. Thinking everything is very nice. Thinking that I have some time to make spiritual advancement. Now let me enjoy. Or now let me just feel sorry for myself for a while. And sometime in the future, I'll take shelter of Krishna. The future never comes. This is Maya's trick to steal away our consciousness moment after moment after moment until we find it's too late. This complacency, this lethargy must be given up. We must understand, padam padam yadvi padam natesham, even if we are not presently suffering some terrible tribulation, we should understand that the nature of this world is that at any minute I will. Queen Kunti prayed for tribulations because it helped her to always be crying out for Krishna's mercy. If we hear every day with the proper frame of mind from the sadhus, Srimad Bhagavatam, we don't have to be put in terrible tribulations. Through hearing, we'll understand that we're already in a tribulation. Whether we're in the crocodile's mouth at the present time or whether the crocodile's about to devour us, they're both urgent emergency conditions of life. If we're not being crushed by Maya, we're about to be crushed by Maya. We should see it and we should know it. And we should help one another to never forget it. Don't be complacent. Don't waste time. We may have tilak and kantimala and we may be wearing dhoti, but don't be complacent. Don't take Krishna consciousness for granted. Don't think everything is all right. Don't think Krishna's giving me what I want and I can enjoy life and at the same time make a little spiritual advancement. We have to strive. We have to inflict upon ourselves a condition where we're willing to struggle through our intelligence. We have to fight. We have to struggle. We have to know that Krishna, I am yours, and everything is yours. And see my predicament in this world. It's desperate. Please save me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
And Krishna says he is the strength of the strong. He is the intelligence of the intelligence. He is the ability in man. That we should never think ourselves the doer of our actions. We should understand that we are empowered by Krishna, either directly or through his material nature. But we are all depending on his powers. When we think any of the borrowed powers that Krishna gives us are ours, that is the source of all frustration and suffering. But when we actually humble ourselves and understand it belongs to Krishna, I'm just the instrument of Krishna, and we give all credit, all glory to Krishna, that is a state of being liberated. That is a state by which Krishna can manifest himself through us in miraculous ways. To spread Krishna consciousness is not just a matter of managerial abilities or scholarly learning. To actually be empowered by Krishna is a matter of sincerely taking shelter of him. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, in his life in this world, he was just a simple grain merchant. He wasn't even really very literate, but he took shelter of Krishna, his spiritual master, and the holy names. He became so powerful. All the essence of the conclusions of all the scriptural knowledge was right there on his tongue. Even though at one time at the elderly part of his life he was practically blind, he could see Krishna. He could see everything Krishna wanted him to know. And even great persons like Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur were longing to be enlightened by his association. So the power of Krishna comes to those who really, in a spirit of desperate need, with all humility, they take shelter with sincere heart. Prabhupada in his prayers on Jaladuta, he's praying for this power. But I have no words. If you give me the words to speak, then they will understand. And Krishna gave him the words to speak. And even people who couldn't understand his words, their hearts were transformed just by the sound vibration. Incredible. People surrender to Krishna without even properly understanding Prabhupada's words. Just the sound of his voice transformed their hearts. Because he was so absorbed in Krishna. He was taking shelter of Krishna. Actually, with the same shelter that Arjuna approached Krishna, with the same desperation and need that Parikshit Maharaj approached Sukadeva Goswami, with the same desperation and need that Dhruva Maharaj approached his mother, that was the desperation and need in which Srila Prabhupada wrote those prayers in the Jaladuta. But his desperation and need was not born of his own personal spiritual requirements, but was his compassion to others. He saw the suffering of society due to ignorance of Krishna, and he felt such an intense, desperate need to help them. That like Arjuna, like Parikshit, like Dhruva, he was crying out, Krishna, I'm nothing, please help me. Not speak to me, speak through me. Change their hearts. And because he prayed with such intense mood of shelter, Krishna spoke through him. He became transparent via medium.
This time 2 videos, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Vajanal Prabhuji just gone out for a couple of minutes. So
Okay.
Just ask me to request Radhanath Prabhu and Sitapuram Mataji if they can do their offerings now.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo 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 Vishwadaya Krishnaaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Name namo Vishwadaya Krishnaaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Name Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurang Pracharani Visesha Pasya Chadeshka Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Pasadi Gaura Bhakta. So Hare Krishna, all dear devotees, God brothers and God sisters, wishing you all a very happy Vyasa Puja ceremony. Like Lalpiti Mataji mentioned before, actually we are missing that physical association, but still let us enjoy this virtual ceremony. So many beautiful pastimes. All the disciples, they have quoted very nicely, which are really inspiring. Very recently, I heard, one beautiful pastime where actually Maharaj wins the heart of a person who disliked him. So Maharaj's program is scheduled in one temple, and as usual, the whole temple is crowded with many devotees and the donors also specially invited. And Maharaj has sang the bhajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he is explaining the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Maharaj explained that how people work like donkeys and earn money, hoping that they can enjoy in the world. Maharaj is speaking on this particular point, and one of the donor, he got angry with that point, and all of a sudden he left the class immediately in anger mood. And after the class is finished, some devotees mentioned to Maharaj what happened, and Maharaj smiled and said, I thought everyone likes my class. So, but there is someone who did not like my class, like that. And then Maharaj took the phone number of this particular donor. He called him personally, and Maharaj seeks forgiveness. When this donor lifted the phone and he heard the voice of Maharaj, he was really shocked. He did not expect that one. Yeah. But Maharaj mentioned, these are not my words. These are the words of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I am just repeating the same words. But if these words hurt your feelings, I seek forgiveness. And this donor, he felt really very bad of, what happened, what did I do? And anyway, the conversation is ended. And then immediately this donor, he rushed to the temple and he wanted to meet Maharaj. By the time Maharaj left the temple, and to attend some other program, then he told the devotees in the temple, when Maharaj returns, please let me know, I want to speak to him. So I think next day Maharaj returned and the devotees informed to the donor, and immediately he came and Maharaj was chanting. So this donor said, Maharaj, please forgive me, please give me punishment. So I don't know, how I felt like that, but it's a big mistake from my side. I want to do atonement. Please give me punishment. Then Maharaj smiled and said, okay, so the punishment to you is you chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra now. And along with Maharaj, he chanted one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then Maharaj mentioned, not just now, so you have to chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day without missing. And we know what happens, definitely, after that. From 1, he raised to 16, and in due course of time, he became the disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Radhanath Maharaj ki very beautiful pastime. So, Maharaj always mentions, very beautiful instructions. If you really want to help someone, then Krishna will empower you. We are definitely all insignificant and small tools. But the desire to help someone, Maharaj always says, Krishna will empower you. Yeah. He is a perfect disciple, perfect devotee of the Lord. He is a visionary. He is a great communicator, most compassionate. And Maharaj always work on the team building and promoting the teamwork. Maharaj always says, this is very, very important. The team building is important. Not centralized around, one person like that. I always love to give this example. Many times I mentioned, like we have a beautiful altar made by Ujjalamani Mataji. We can see on the screen. Yeah. Nicely made vases and, garlands. Yeah. Different colors of flowers, different fragrances, different sizes. Yeah. But all coming together, it gives the beauty. So when Matas make garland, different colors of garland, make some nice garland. And when we garland to deities, Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, that gives the beauty. So different people have different skills, different talents, different abilities, different capacities. But when all come together as a teamwork, and that service is a very beautiful garland, we can offer to our Guru Maharaj and to Srila Prabhupada and to Krishna. So that's this bit like, promoting the teamwork, Maharaj always encourages. So on this very auspicious, very recently I had a small conversation, with one of my friend who is a doctor. In the conversation, this bit came like, unity in diversity, and the same point, like, different skills and all those things. So he mentioned like, I would like to be like a salt. Yeah, when we make prasadam and offer to Krishna, yeah, nice prasadam, but prasadam without salt, it doesn't look taste. Then my friend, he said, I would like to be salt. So yes, salt is hidden. Salt is, we can't see it, but that it plays the major role. Yeah. But we all know naturally leafy vegetables has this salty nature. This external salt, which we we put in the dish, is for taste. But naturally leafy vegetables has salt in them. In the same way, every soul has that salt like nature, which is nothing but service. Yeah. If that is invoked, then that gives the the real taste. So that's what conversation went through between me and one of my doctor friend in India. Yeah. So I really happy for this wonderful beautiful program and hearing so many wonderful glories of Maharaj. So I humbly pray to Maharaj at the lotus feet of Maharaj. Please bless our congregation, everyone, so that we can continue our services to our temple and the devotees consistently without failure. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for sharing that nice leader. And if we can ask Mataji.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaya vacha patitamnam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Chidamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravan Pracharini Nirviseta Surnavadi Pacha Shateshatarini. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Chidamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravan Pracharini Nirviseta Surnavadi Pacha Shateshatarini. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Dear Guru Maharaj, you are inspired thousands of people all over the world to become devotees of Krishna. I am one such most inspired soul. In my little way, I try to give my offering by sharing one of the qualities of Maharaj. Maharaj is one of the ideal disciples of Srila Prabhupada. He assimilated the instructions of Srila Prabhupada in his heart, and in spite of challenging circumstances, he continued carrying forward the instructions of his Guru without selfish desire. On these auspicious occasions of Vyasa Puja, I beg Maharaj to give shelter at his lotus feet and bless me so that I can continue serving the temple and devotees within my capacity. Your humble servant, Sita Prema Devidasi.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Very nice, short and succinct, Mataji. Very nice prayers from both of you. Thank you very much indeed. If we can now ask Marav Kumar Das Prabhu and Nila Mataji.
We have Kartik Chandra Prabhu also joined, just for your information, in case if you don't observe.
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhu. Kartik Chandra Prabhu, welcome to the group, and we're so much looking forward to hearing you speak later. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Vajilan Prabhu, thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha kalpataruvasya kripa sindhubhaya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All glories to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Wonderful opportunity. It's like a family reunion happening online. Also wonderful to see all of your faces. I'm just going to echo what everyone's already mentioned. Yes, it is nice to have Vapu association, but in the current circumstances, it's best that we take Vani association and try and implement the instructions of the Guru as best possible. I'm just recollecting my last physical association with Guru Maharaj was in Mayapur. Again, a reflection of his kindness and consideration. He allowed me a few moments. We took a few pictures, and I'm just recollecting his physical association like that. So once again, thank you to all the dear devotees for sharing your personal realization. It makes us feel more like a family, and we know that we are on the same path, trying to serve Guru and Gauranga. It's New Year is also a time for reflecting on what we did in the recent past. Last night, we had a very wonderful online New Year Eve celebration. Dinabandhu Prabhu was speaking, and it's still fresh in my mind. There were a couple of takeaways I had. One was, what is any little progress we make on the path of bhakti and in our spiritual lives is permanent. It is not lost. Any effort is not lost. And a wonderful verse from the Bhagavad Gita was quoted, 2.14, Neha Bhikramana Shosti. And it says, Swalpa piyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhahat. Even little devotional service can save you from the greatest of dangers. This is a very wonderful and a powerful instruction. And the other take home from yesterday's session was, what is the real criteria for success? And how do we measure that we are living our lives successfully and we are advancing? And it's essentially how much devotional service we have been able to do, how much we have been able to serve the devotees, how much we have been able to please the Guru and further the mission of Gauranga. And all of this, all of these opportunities are only possible because I was taken personally under the shelter of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. So while we're reflecting on all that has happened in the recent past, I wanted to thank His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj for taking me under his shelter. I realize amongst all of you, I'm still an infant. I'll only be about 5 years old in a couple of months as a realized spiritual entity. So thank you for your continued inspired association, all the dear devotees. Listening to Radhanath Maharaj's instruction, like I mentioned, Vani association is our best opportunity in current times. He says, and he has mentioned quite a few things, and amongst his key instructions are, please remember everything is dependent on Krishna. Whatever we have, we must use in the service of the Lord. And some very important ones are work conjointly under the spiritual master without quarrel. So it is our prayer that we can remain connected with each other as God family and inspire more and more devotees to take shelter. And this is a joint prayer on behalf of me and my family that we can continue to do our little bit. Just a quick one on the point of taking note of how we are progressing and whether we are utilizing our time. It's a direct measure of how much service we've been able to do. And how do we know we have done good service is when our immediate friends and families are able to take notice and take some inspiration in their own lives. So it's a little personal, but I wanted to share with you a few years ago when my parents came over to the UK, because we were part of ISKCON Manchester congregation. The only places we wanted to take our parents were ISKCON temples around the country. And the only other places we wanted to take our parents were devotee homes so that they could be honored instead of going any places of sightseeing, etc. And now, after a few years of continued service, my parents are now in a position they are connected. My mother is connected with a local ISKCON temple in Western UP, India. And she is very eagerly waiting for me to come and introduce to her devotee contacts locally. And she wants me to take me to the local temple and visit all the congregation members and share with me all the devotional services that she's doing. Quite often, we share scores, book distribution scores. She's actively distributing Bhagavad Gita. So I was under a bit of pressure from her that she should score more than me, but it's all on a spiritual level. We are reading Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis, and it's all been possible because we have the continued support and encouragement of our loving dear God family. So once again, all acknowledgements and thank yous to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj and the entire God family for continuing to keep us in your association. And we pray that we are able to continue to do our little bit. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
For sharing that wonderful story about your mother. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We're so heartfeltly grateful to Guru and the mission for bringing your mother closer to Krishna. Hare Prabhu. Is Nila Mataji?
It'll just be myself on behalf of the family.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
And do we have Ujjwala Mani Mataji? Hare Krishna Mataji.
Directly from the altar. No need to spotlight Mataji.
No.
Lotus feet, at the lotus feet of Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Vancha kalpatarubesha sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Iti Namini. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasarini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarini. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Wishing you a very happy Krishna conscious birthday, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for making me realize the importance of being humble and compassionate toward all living entity. And thank you for teaching me the value of association of devotees, being humble and doing selfless services. Please bless me, Guru Maharaj, your humble servant, Ujjwala Mani Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for covering so many qualities within less than 2 minutes. Hare Bo, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Bo. It must be the fact that the lotus feet are so close to your head, Mataji.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
So, I was just wondering, Sundar Goin, Prabhu, is he on? Is he on?
No, Prabhuji, no, he is not able to join Prabhuji today.
He's not, okay. So there's only myself and Kartik Chandra Prabhu left. I hear from Radhamohan Prabhu, Kartik Chandra Prabhu, that you'd like to go last. So
I would just like to Prabhuji, Sridhama Prabhu has just joined.
Yeah.
Oh, Haribo.
So what we can do is that maybe you and Kartik Chandra Prabhu can do your offering, and then we can conclude with Prabhuji's offering. There'll be like, the really nice icing on the cake for today's event then.
Haribo Prabhu. So Sridhama Prabhu, welcome to the group. We're very fortunate that I think I saw from the 1988 Pune Yatra that it makes you over 35 years with Maharaj. So we have a great amount to learn from you. And what can we say? We're very, very fortunate that you're taking this time out, traveling to try and get here on time. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So Prabhu, Kartik Chandra Prabhu, from etiquette perspective, I should allow you to speak first, if you would like.
And I think the real etiquette would be to let Sridhamar Prabhu and Kishori Mataji speak first.
Karthik Prabhu, Karthik Chandraji, please speak. I mean, I need to at least get oriented to the program. I mean, so I would love to just hear for some time. So please, I'm humble requesters, please speak. Kishori is just joining in a minute.
Okay.
So please join. I would like to hear, and then whatever way I can serve.
But as you order. So I was ordered by Radha Mohan Prabhu that I should speak my offering, and I do not generally speak my offering in a wider audience, but just to please all the devotees and follow his order, I will read what I had written. It should be less than 5 minutes. I have abridged and removed a few sections, so we should stick to the time. Dear Srila Gurudev, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Niti Namine Krishna Bhakti Namagnaya Sarva Samvada Karine Sasneham Karuna Ardraya Namaste Namra Chetase. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you who are always absorbed in devotional service unto Lord Krishna, your harmonizer of all differences, affectionately compassionate and humble-hearted. This is the meaning of the prayer. The past couple of years have been very difficult for the devotee community internationally. And many wonderful warriors of our movement have left the planet to rejoin Srila Prabhupada in his eternal missionary adventures. We are feeling deep separation from all of them. Having not seen your divine self in person since 2019 has also ached my heart. After much churning and reflection during these difficult times, I've continued to realize your divine presence through your meditations on your instructions, your pastimes, and your loving exchanges. These are the sole motivating factors keeping me on the devotional path. I'm endeavoring to serve you based on the specific instructions you have given me over the years, as well as the many wonderful instructions you have revealed in your classes. However, my attempts to follow them is very insignificant. In fact, I have no genuine capacity to follow them. I therefore beg to you to empower me to please you. To please you is the most priceless treasure. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to you for providing us the association of so many sweet and dedicated disciples of yours, my God family, who are always eager to please you. In contrast, I'm constantly struggling and faltering in my insignificant attempts to do anything valuable that would please you. The association and service of the devotees who verily carry the Lord in their hearts have given me some hope. I pray that I may be able to serve those sadhus in the spirit of servant of the servant, Vaishnava Dasa Anudasa. May I become a devotee of their devotees. As the Lord says in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.463, Aham Bhakta Paradhino Yaswatantra Ivadvija Sadhubhir Grasta Hridayo Bhaktair Bhakta Janapriya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I'm completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I'm not at all independent because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the cores of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to you for revealing the essence of scriptures. Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasa Anu Dasaha, to serve the Lord of Braja in the mood of the Brajavasis. One of your dear God brothers recently shared with me in private his personal meditation that you were the first Brajvasi in ISKCON after Srila Prabhupada, because you were in Braj even before Srila Prabhupada brought his disciples to Braj. You were therefore the first Brajvasi to join the ISKCON movement. In true Brajvasi spirit, your intense, spontaneous love, Anurag, towards the Lord of Srimati Radharani, Radhanatha, profusely comes across in all your divine words and activities. It is an open secret which cannot be hidden.
Just like the Brajavasis could not hide their mood. And they spoke to Maharaj Nanda in the 10th canto, chapter 26, verse 13. Dustyajas chanuragosmin sarvesham no vrajaukasam nandate tanayasmau tasyapi utpatika katham. Dear Nanda, how is it that we and all the other residents of Braja cannot give up our constant affection for your son? And how is it that he is so spontaneously attracted to us? Such is your spontaneous love for the Lord of Srimati Radharani. You possess the true Brajavasi spirit. Your most recent instructions to me to take shelter of the Shastra and the Vaishnavas has helped me propel in my spiritual life. It was as if you foresaw the coming difficult times of COVID-19, and just before leaving, instructed me to focus on these two things: association and service of your wonderful God family, of our wonderful God family, along with the wider ISKCON Vaishnav sadhus, as well as my juvenile attempt to study the Shastra, along with your sweet Brajaras-filled discourses, have given me hope in my spiritual life. As it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 9.362, Ei Kali Kale Aranahi Kona Dharma, Vaishnava Shastra Ei Kohe Marma. In this age of Kali, there are no genuine religious principles. There are only Vaishnav devotees and Vaishnav devotional literatures. This is the sum and substance of everything. On this day, therefore, on this day of your divine appearance, I make this fervent prayer to the Lord that your presence be ever manifested in my heart, and that I can remember your divine instructions in all conditions of life. In this way, perhaps I can please you, and by pleasing you, I may please your most beloved spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Ever grateful servant of your servants, Kartik Chandra Das. His RNS Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you very much indeed for your very thorough thought-through offering. It is an inspiration to understand how devotees think and spill out their hearts in love of Maharaj. Thank you very much indeed, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I'd just like to take this opportunity to ask anybody who may have desired to speak and have not had a chance to speak. Please speak now before I make my own offering. Hare Krishna. I'll take that as an opportunity now to address the devotees myself. Thank you very much indeed. Om Yantrandasya Yandinashlakya Chakshuryum Tamina Tasmichipurve Namaho Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Samstaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Tinamina Namo Vishnu Padaya Samstaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamina Namaste Srishti Garavani Parine Devse Sinivadi Pastata Starina. Just want to check that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, Prabhu.
Dearest Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Srila Prabhupada. You are a treasure house of devotional service. Every breath, thought, deed, project, and insignificant act is an offering of love to Guru and Krishna. You are a perfect example of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and so are able to attract the hearts of the fallen conditioned souls all over the world, who are in desperate need of being saved from the relentless attacks of Maya. Our unlimited good fortune can be measured by our gratitude to your merciful shelter. You have come simply to give us inspiration in nectarian engagement of eternal devotional service, a rare jewel amongst the rarest of jewels. Somehow, by the unlimited grace of the Lord, we have found your lotus feet, and you have taught us the sublime truth of bhakti. Your disciples, through your guidance and instructions, are establishing projects that attract and engage all of us. We can see how you are using utility as a principle in all your projects to raise an army of devotees to push back the relenting age of Kali. Purity and purity of your service has created first-class devotees to help move the mission of Srila Prabhupada as you send your best disciples to preach and support temples in so many countries. You are the epitome of Das Das Anudas as you serve your God brothers, God sisters, and their many disciples and servants. You are relishing the opportunity to serve them in a way that increases their enthusiasm and surrender. You are an inspiration of the third verse of the Shistakatham, Sunada Pisamichinam. By your exemplary mood of service, no matter how busy you are, you will always do the needful, however insignificant it may be, to ensure that the highest standard of Vaishnava etiquette are being maintained in the glorification of Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. I am in awe and reverence when I remember your sublime service attitude, your genuine love for Srila Prabhupada, and your countless sacrifices over the last 50 years softens my hardened heart. You're an example of everything for Krishna and nothing for yourself. The definition of absolute self-service, the definition of absolute selfless service given by Srila Prabhupada. Many may talk of devotional service, but in you it takes on life, meaning, love, and devotion, immeasurable humility, responsibility, devotee care, sacrifice, enthusiasm, joy, and loving servitude. The past year has been challenging in health, work, home, and devotion. Your teachings have brought clarity to the tests that sometimes stretch our tolerance, patience, and faith. As you have taught, through your own example, that these tests are a blessing to bring us closer to the Lord and will increase our wisdom and devotion to Guru and Krishna. I pray heartily to Sri Sri Gaura Nitai, Srila Prabhupada, and Parampara, that somehow or other we may imbibe in our own hearts the spirit of bhakti you have cultivated and be completely surrendered to your lotus feet. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for accepting me as your eternal insignificant servant. You will always remain my Lord and Master. May I somehow be of service to my family, my God brothers and sisters, whose loving dedication has made this celebration so memorable. May we receive your blessings to grow this ISKCON Manchester mission into a metropolis of devotional service. Your insignificant, lowly servant, Vijayanath Das. So that brings the offerings to a close, and we now wait for the crescendo of our gathering today by hearing Sri Rama Prabhu and Kishore Mataji give their
Hare Krishna.
speeches. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Welcome.
Krishna, Prabhuji. I want to read one. Sorry, Prabhuji. I
Oh,
want
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
yes, Prabhuji. Only small offering, yeah, 5 minutes.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Pancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Prachar Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pachasta Deshatkarne. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I want to share one Maharaj's great quality. The life of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he dedicated to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada. He is very dedicated in his service. He was doing deity service, top of the hill. That place is New Vrindavan. That place is very cold and 0 degrees. Still also Maharaj, he didn't turn back. In that cold weather, he took a bath with cold water and he was doing service alone in full day program, 6 aratis and 6 offerings, alone without any association, without much help. And remaining time, he is reading books and chanting. How Maharaj is took every situation, challenging mood and determination, humble service and surrender mood. One of the Maharaj's great quality. That's in my. Please accept me. Please keep me always in your lotus feet, me and my family and all devotees, your humble servant, Madhavi Lata Devidasi.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for making the effort to speak. I was quite concerned that there was no request, but it is very nice, Mataji, that as always you deliver. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. So if there is no other speakers,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one long request for myself, Shamal Rai.
Oh, Hare Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Tandu Pranam to all the Vaishnavas. Prabhuji, my experience of devotion is very, very minimal, and I came across Radhanath Maharaj Swami quite a while ago on a YouTube video, and his words sort of strike you in the heart, and that's what got to me. And I listened to a few. So I said that you sort of on this desire tree, you can come across that. I've come across that myself, and him spending time in the villages and in the mountains, he shared his experiences. So that was just fantastic. And someone from the West going to India and doing all this and having association with Prabhupada, and then trying to further the mission of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. It's just immense. To me, the way he comes across, how the words that he uses, it's just fantastic. It gets to you no matter what happens, what level of life you're at. He just touches that part that other people can't touch. And I personally like to use some of this at work sometime, trying to throw a few quotes in here and there, try to, just to see. And even I think I shared with one of my colleagues, she's basically a secretary to the director. Have a look at Radhanath Swami, some of the videos there. Just try to get them into there so they'll be inspired and they can look into it. So this is the great sign of a Vaishnav and a Maharaj, having that quality, as Balaram said previously, to touch everybody at every level. And that's what he's been doing, and he continues to do that. And we're so grateful, myself personally and my family, we're grateful that he is there to distribute the love for Krishna to everybody else. And hopefully for a fallen soul, fallen beetle like me, to bring me in line, hopefully, and my family, so we can actually join the Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mission with his blessing. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for sharing and for your humble prayers. Thank you very much. So, Shridhar Prabhu and Kishore Mati, over to you. We have long been waiting for your association, so I will pass it over to you now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all the wonderful Vaishnavas. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. My humble obeisances to all the wonderful Vaishnavas. It is really, really so refreshing. I'm feeling the cold wave of London coming to me by seeing your warm faces. So I'm feeling very much close to all of you, and really it's been so wonderful to see all our old friends. Of course, not physically, but in various rectangles that we can see all of you in front of us. God Natraj Prabhu, Radha Vinod Prabhu, of course my dear friend Radha Mohan Prabhu, Rajendra Lal Prabhu. I just happened to see Kartik Chandra Prabhu, and all the names are so familiar. I don't see many people's faces though, but Neelam Mataji, and I mean all of these people are so wonderful to see all of you. And it is so nice that you are beginning your year 2022 with such a wonderful auspicious beginning, glorifying spiritual master and associating in the best possible way, because as it is explained that Krishna clearly says that who is my devotee? A devotee who says he's my devotee, he is not my devotee. But a devotee of my devotee, he is my devotee. Sadhuram hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tuham. That I'm in the hearts of the devotees, and the devotees are in my heart. I know no one other than them, and they know no one other than me. So there's so many ample reasons which we find in our shastras of how much Krishna loves his devotees. And I think many of you, at whatever offerings I heard from Kartik Chandra Prabhu and Rajendra Lal Prabhu, and of course from Shamal Ray Prabhu and Mataji, Madhvi Lata Mataji, I think all of them, they definitely had the common content of how much Maharaj has taught us Vaishnav Seva, how much he has taught us the importance of Vaishnavas. But yes, my dear friends, Vaishnav Seva is most important, and all Vaishnavas are special. But amongst all the Vaishnavas, the supremest Vaishnava in a disciple's life is the spiritual master. So obviously, when we are getting an opportunity to glorify that personality who assumes such a voluminous, who plays such a voluminous role in our life to really connect us. And as I was thinking, a spiritual master, and in our case, to be more specific, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, has been such an amazing instrument in connecting us to some of the most important cardinal principles of our lives. I mean, the first and most important thing, our spiritual master gives us the understanding of Krishna is non-different from the holy names. Now, what can be a better gift to a disciple than when the spiritual master not only gives him or her the understanding that the holy name is non-different from Krishna? Because please understand, we are talking about something which is so very unique, because practically everything, or rather for that matter, everything has a difference between the name and the form. So what we're talking about is 99% of the things that we are used to interacting with, that different from the name and the form. But it is only the holy name, Abhinatva Nama Namino, that whole idea of Abhinatva, the non-difference between the name and Krishna, is such a gift, is such a munificent gift. It is basically giving Krishna to us in a way where we can access him any time of the day, any time of the night, any part of the world, in any situation of life. You understand? Right? So Prabhu, please, I think the most important gift, the most important connection that the spiritual master does is to the holy names. Another very special connection is that Radhanath Maharaj has done is that through him, through his via media, we have access to the most divine, the most profound, the highest philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesh Tanayata Dhama Brindavanam Ramya Kachitupasana Brajavadu Vargena Va Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatra Dharana Paraha. So these 5 principles, which are the highest of the highest. And I say this with proper reason. Why I say highest of the highest? Because it doesn't make sense grammatically. If something is high, if something is highest, it's highest, right? How can you have something which is highest of the highest? Doesn't make grammatical sense. But I'm not from an English country. I'm from India, so I may not be grammatically right. But I'm talking about the feeling, the emotion that we are trying to drive is the highest of the highest means that Krishna Aradhya Bhagavana Brajesh Tanaya. The first principle that Mahaprabhu Chaitanya talks about is we worship Krishna. But again, there's so much variety. Krishna of Dwarka, Krishna of Mathura, Krishna of Kurukshetra, Krishna of Dakor, so many places, Krishna of Udupi, so many places Krishna is there. But of all the Krishnas, Aradhya Bhagavana Vrajesh Tanaya, we worship Vrajesh Tanaya, the divine son of Nanda Maharaj. Now, who has given us that understanding? That there are multiple Krishnas understanding, but all the Krishnas, it is Vrajesh Tanaya that we worship. My dear friends, isn't it such a how many dhams are there? There are millions of holy dhams in India and outside of India. But of all the holy places, my dear friends, the most divine place is Sri Vrindavan Dham. And of all the multitude, millions and millions of devotees, the most glorious are the gopis of Vrindavan. How many scriptures are there? How many literatures are there glorifying the Lord? How many verses are there? Millions of verses, millions upon millions. But of all these verses, the most glorious is Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam, this highest. And there's so many destinations, there's so many aspirations that we can have. To become a big CEO, right from that mundane desire to become a guru, to become XYZ, so many things. But what is our real aspiration? Prema Pumartha Mahan. The most highest aspiration is to achieve pure love of God. So, my dear friends, these 5 things is the second major gift that the spiritual master gives us, the understanding of these 5 things, which actually, if you realize, has practically revolutionized our life. Many of us, I remember, in my case, I know for sure in the case of many devotees I can see in front of me, we have been Krishna devotees, no doubt. Radha Mohan Prabhu, I'm sure, Krishna Kartik Chandra also, and many of you as well. But our understanding of Krishna worship before we were introduced to Prabhupada's mission, and our understanding of Krishna's worship that now that we are introduced to Krishna's mission, tell me honestly, my dear friends, is it a difference? And it is not just a difference, it's an ocean of a difference. Right from ritualistic worship of Krishna to absolutely siddhantic, spontaneous worship of Krishna. Right? So please, this is the special gift that the Guru gives us in the form of these 5 very important siddhantas. And we are indebted to spiritual master for this. Another aspect that the spiritual master gives is, in one sense, for all of us, his own glorious personal example. That is why we have the Vani and the Vapu. So Vani is important. Of course, Vani always remains with us. It's always going to remain, always going to inspire us. But at the same time, I remember Maharaj telling us in so many occasions that Vani is important. But at the same, many times what happens, my dear friends, that when we say, oh, Vani is important, and we just are attached to we should be attached to the Vani. But simultaneously, we know that whenever the Vapu association is available, we should grab it. Because that's not going to be always there. And what do you mean by the Vapu association? By seeing the spiritual master, by hearing the spiritual master, by smelling the spiritual master, by touching the spiritual master, by walking with the spiritual master. We actually have understanding of how he behaves as a devotee. How does he function as a devotee? His personal example. Isn't that such an important contribution in our lives of how he behaves. And I would like to just take up this one aspect of his multifarious aspects that he has, multifarious personality that he is, that he is. The one aspect that is that we all, I'm sure, in the last year 2021 celebrated the 50 years anniversary of some of the most important events in Radhanath Maharaj's life. It was the 50th anniversary of him coming to Vrindavan, 50th anniversary of him going to Himalayas, 50th anniversary of him, meeting Srila Prabhupada early in the year in March. It was a very important year, right? And of course, everything that he did in Vrindavan, every day that he met a particular devotee, whether it was Vishaka Sharan Baba, whether it was Ghanshyam Baba, last year was the 50th anniversary of that particular event. Yeah. And 50 years, that means he has been associating with the Bhakti movement, with the Prabhupada's movement. I mean, externally speaking, as we all know, he has been always a devotee of the Lord. But he came in touch with Prabhupada, and it's been 50 years. But what really amazes me is that his love for the Dham, his love for his spiritual master, even after 50 full years, is as fresh as if it is just now born. Isn't it amazing, Prabhus? 50 years is a long period. It's half of a century, my dear friends. It's half of a century. 50 years doesn't sound so long, but when you say half of a century, even though we are saying the same thing, but it is sound, oh my God, half of a century. It's been 50 years, but you please see how he has maintained his love for the basic Krishna consciousness, for Krishna Katha. How many times he must have heard the story of Kalia, for example. I mean, he was staying near Kalia Ghat. He was sleeping at the Chir Ghat. So he knows about Kalia Leela since 50 years. And how many times he must have repeated that story? How many times he must have heard the story? But still, when in the last yatra, if you remember, when he spoke about the Kalia pastime, it was like as if it is right happening, three-dimensional in front of our eyes. He was so involved in it, isn't it, my dear friends, with all sorts of sound effects, and not just the sound effects, but he was immersed in that pastime. Now, it is not easy for somebody to have that freshness even after 50 years. The material energy, Prabhu, the material energy is such that it makes everything very stale, everything very, very, monotonous, and everything very, very ordinary, isn't it? Yes. There's three things: stale, monotonous, and ordinary. That's the material energy, the power of the material energy. That over time, everything becomes stale. Over time, everything becomes monotonous. Nothing exciting. It's the same life. And over time, it becomes very, very ordinary. But please understand, one of the aspects that I said I wanted to just focus on is how enthusiastic and how fresh he has kept his Krishna consciousness. And one of the reasons that we learn from him is that, one thing that I love that when I first heard it, it really was so wonderful to understand that when after, I think Mataji mentioned that he was serving in New Vrindavan. So after spending time in Vrindavan, he went to New Vrindavan. But every day he would sit in Samadhi and meditate upon each temple as if he was in Vrindavan, the time he spent in Vrindavan. He would take a bath in Jamuna, then attend the Mangala Arati of Radha Ballabh, then attend the Mangala Arati of Radha Damodar, then attend the Mangala Arati of Radha Shyam Sundar, and the last would be the Mangala Arati of Radha Raman, and in the very last late morning would be the Mangala Arati of Baki Bihari. Maharaj would actually meditate upon each of these places. And why would do that? Not because he was a Sahajiya, which he is obviously not, but he was saying that I was so attached to these memories that I didn't want even one memory to be lost, and I wanted to keep it fresh, and I wanted to keep it. So he was constantly meditating. So that is a very important process. Shravanam, Kirtanam, but a very important part of Shravanam Kirtanam is Mananam. Manan karna, to think about, to manan, to meditate upon, to go deep. within that various things, and in this case to go deep within the past that we have spent, to go deep within the memories that we have about some special situations in our life, so that it remains fresh. Prabhus, we have to keep spiritual life fresh, and this is such an important example in the form of spiritual master, how he keeps the spiritual life fresh, how he keeps his love for his god brothers over fresh. Please understand, even he must have heard so many good and so many not so good aspects of a particular god brother. Natural, right? Material world. I won't say bad, but good and not so good aspects. But on over 50 years, you can hear so many things, the good and not so good in our lives of people, about people. But still to maintain their love and devotion and the bliss to meet devotees and to associate with devotees, especially in his, we're talking about his god brother that he has maintained, is such an example. So, it's nice to say, guys, Jai Gurudev. It's nice to say, Radhanath Maharaj ki Jai. But it is most important to really imbibe. I use this word, imbibe. Imbibe, very nice word. To imbibe the teachings, the example of spiritual master in our lives. We should be, in our own ways, small reflections of the glory of our spiritual master in our own ways, by our own example, not for our glory, but for his glorification. In a small way, to glorify him by reflecting a small portion of his glory. And that reflection will come when we are, if we are meditating, and we become such wonderful surfaces where his glory can come and reflect back. If we are dusty, if the mirror is dusty, even if the light comes, it won't reflect back, it is going to be absorbed. But to keep our heart fresh, keep our heart bright, keep our heart very, very glowing, so that when the glory of Maharaj hits us, we are again reflected back. And to the extent we are good reflectors, to that extent we can be wonderful disciples. So my dear, my real humble request is, yes, we could have shared so many stories, and then if time permits, we may share one or two stories. But it is most important to really, on this day of 1st of January 2022, to really have the feeling of gratitude, unimaginable gratitude that we need to have. I mean, I won't say unimaginable, but profound gratitude that we should be having for Maharaj, for what he has given us, for what he has given access to all of us. Yeah, the treasures, Golokera Premadhana, in the form of Vrindavan, in the form of the Vaishnavas, in the form of the holy name, in the form of the scriptures, in the form of the glorious pastimes of the wonderful devotees of the Lord. So let us be grateful for this, and with this understanding, and let us continue and living this particular year 2022, before we celebrate next year, or maybe the end of the coming year, one more glorious part of Vyasa Puja. Let us really be a better disciple than what we were yesterday. And I seek your blessings that I can be a better disciple in my own small ways. And I pray that we all can be better disciples in our own small ways to glorify him and glorify Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Continuing what Prabhuji was speaking, that the spiritual master gives us different moods, and as a wonderful disciple, he has followed in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was a visionary, and right from his early days, when first he met Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, right from that day he started planning that how he will actually spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So I was reading Journey Home, and I was thinking in Journey Home there are many different pastimes. So the very first day when Maharaj came to India in Delhi, right in the middle of the crowd, a snake was put around his waist, and then slowly the snake started coming up. And that person started telling him 50 rupees, 50 rupees, 50 rupees. And Maharaj said, I have no money. We know very well how he entered India. Most of the devotees whom I see, we are Indians, and probably we may not have so much love for India as much as Guru Maharaj had that time, the hankering to come to India. And 50 rupees, and he said, I have no money. And I would just read the exact words which Maharaj has written. That it was only my first day in India. Gazing at the teeth of the snake, I wondered, is this the place I risk my life for? What would my mother and father think to see their son so far from home in this condition? With no other recourse, I closed my eyes and prayed. See here, you can see the nature. He's a teenager, 19 years boy who has struggled hard. We know the struggle he has taken to come to India. And what are his thoughts? I closed my eyes and prayed. If you have something for me to do in this world, Lord, please help me. Right at that time, he is not thinking about that, save me, Krishna, take this, Lord, take this snake away or protect me. What is the word? If you have something for me to do in this world, Lord, please help me. So right from the beginning days, he always saw his life as an offering to the Lord and to do things for the people of the world. We know at the customs also at the border, when that gentleman who gave him the Sikh gentleman who gave him the entry to India, he said, one day I will do something great for your country. So I was thinking that as Prabhupada, right when he was 22, he had that vision that my Guru Maharaj has told me, so I have to do this. So right at the age of 19, Radhanath Maharaj had this thinking that I want to do something great for this country. Even here the prayers, which is saying that if my Lord, if you think that this body can do something great, something worth for this world, please protect me. So we can see his consciousness. His consciousness was never I. It was never I consciousness. It was always others. It's always how I can help others, how I can lift up others in whatever way. I was recently hearing, we had one meeting and one devotee was sharing that he has never personally, spoken so much to Guru Maharaj. And he said that he was staying in Dubai. And in Dubai, he was working, his family was in India, in Mira Road. So he said, but any decision I had to take, I would always remember Guru Maharaj, and then I would toss a coin. And I would say, if head comes, Guru Maharaj, then you want me to do this. If the tail comes, then you want me to do that. And every time he would take this decision, he would pray to Maharaj and he would take this decision like that. So he was telling us that one day early in the morning, he had a dream. And in the dream, he saw his Mira Road house. And, in the house, it's a complex. So every once in a week, Saturday, there's a program. And said the program was going on and suddenly Guru Maharaj came. And he gave in the dream, all things is happening in the dream. So Guru Maharaj came and he gave a class. And just few minutes he spoke and then he was leaving. So he requested, can you please come to my house upstairs? So then he agreed. And when he came upstairs, then they asked Maharaj, would you like to eat something? They were South Indians. So his mother said, I have only batter of idli dosa. So Maharaj said, I love idli dosa. So immediately my mother made, dosas, hot dosas, and Maharaj was honoring dosas. It's all happening in the dream. And then suddenly this person, he was serving Maharaj, and Maharaj asked him that, how are you doing? And please take care of your parents. So he said, Maharaj, I stay in Dubai, but my family is here. My wife, children, and my parents are here. So Maharaj said, this is not right. You come back to India. And his dream stopped. And he opened his eyes, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. So he was wondering what to do, 4 o'clock in the morning, I get a dream Guru Maharaj comes and says, come back to India. And he said, yeah, Maharaj said, then before said, come back to India, your parents need you, come back to India. And then he opened his eyes, he phoned another devotee, that, devotee in Dubai only. And he said, what do you think? He said, I also don't understand. And within a month, he gets a call that his father left his body. And he came to India and, he did all the ceremony and then he went back. After 2 months, he gets a call from one of the doctors in the Bhaktivedanta hospital that your mother is very serious and I think you should come back. So he came back. But he was telling that every time I would ask the decision, on tossing a coin, but here Guru Maharaj, I had never even personally met him, but he came in the dream and he told, give me the instruction, come back. So he was saying that, the connection with the spiritual master has with the disciple, when you sincerely surrender, you sincerely pray, in different forms he can come and he can assist you. So I was thinking that his vision that he wants to help to different people on this planet to take them closer to Krishna. It actually even he does through the dreams. He makes sure that the devotees are taken care. I remember many years back when we were preaching in Sion Hospital. We had Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj that time, and who would go to IIT first, and then he would come to Sion Hospital for preaching, and I would assist him. So there were a few girls, who would come for the class, and one of the girls was not well, and Maharaj came to know. So she had written a letter to Maharaj through somebody. So Maharaj, I did not know that, I just recently came to know. But Maharaj had called me and told me that take this garland and give it to, her name was Dipali at that time. So you give it to her and tell her, I'm really remembering her and I'm praying for her. And she was very sick. She was a doctor, but she was very sick. So I went there and I gave her, and she was so touched that, Guru Maharaj directly sent a garland for her and she recovered very fast. Today she is a initiated devotee, Draupadi Devi Dasi. So many years have passed, but what I want to drive the point that what he wanted to, when he had that vision right at the young age, that I want to do good for the people in this world. And we can see that over the years, right from simple, ordinary people in the world to the most wealthy people of the world. The entire spectrum, young students or elderly parents or grandparents of devotees. All spectrums of devotees, he has always tried to touch their lives and try to bring them closer to Krishna. His vision is not small. His vision is whichever person, if I can somehow bring that person closer to Krishna. I remember my father left his body, he became a devotee. He was almost becoming very sincere devotee and suddenly left his body. And Maharaj called me and he said, Kishori, I couldn't do much for him. I could have done so many things for him. And I was feeling, my God, who am I? I'm just a small devotee, and Maharaj is telling I couldn't do for your father so much. We were so close, but before I could do, he left. So I was thinking, my God, he has, he wants to touch each and every person's life, try to bring that person as much as possible closer to Krishna. And keeping this same vision in the mind, the way he brought up this Radha Gopinath temple and community. You all have seen the Radha Gopinath as Radha Gopinath, Gaur Nitai, and Srinathji, Gopalji. So one of the reasons Maharaj wanted Gopal, you don't see Gopalji deity in ISKCON actually. Very few temples has Gopalji deities. You have Sitaram Lakshman or Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. But the reason Maharaj wanted Gopalji, because the Radha Gopinath temple is in South Bombay area, which is most of the Gujaratis there. So he thought if the Gopalji deity will come, then many Gujaratis will start coming. So everything he did for the Radha Gopinath temple, it had a vision. As young students, when we would come to the temple, he made friendship with us. He actually said, I'm your friend. I still remember, I'm your friend. you can tell me this, you can tell, and so many, right from what type of clothes to wear and what we should preach, how we should preach, how we should be an exemplary daughter or a mother or a wife or a devotee. Everything he personally taught. The reason is because he said, if you as a devotee behave nicely, then seeing your example, people will get attracted to come to Krishna consciousness. So his focus is very clear. How to attract many more souls at the lotus feet of Shri Radha Gopinath. Once I remember on a Sunday evening, Sunday feast program, usually at that time in Radha Gopinath temple would go on for many hours. Many hours. So in the evening time, it was around 7 o'clock, and Maharaj had already given morning Bhagavatam class for 2.5 hours. In afternoon, Kirtan he had led for 1 hour, 2 hours class in the afternoon. So exhausting Sunday. And Maharaj was chanting, taking round around the temple, just circumambulating the temple from his room back, and then again coming in the temple hall and going like this. So suddenly at that time, 2-3 foreigners, they came and they entered the temple hall around 7:30 in the evening. And Maharaj just sat with them. He spoke to them for a long time. And then he called me and he said, he'd make sure that they take prasad. And then, I spoke to them, they took prasad. And then Maharaj asked me after that, so if everything was good with them, I said, yes, Maharaj. So then he told me, he showed me the door, entrance of Radha Gopinath, where you enter. He said, anybody who enters this door, they are guests of Radha Gopinath. And we are servants of Radha Gopinath. As a servant, our responsibility is to take care of the guest. So never take anybody for granted. Whoever enters, don't think that, how do they look, or they are foreigners or this thing. Always understand, anybody who has entered this gate, they are special guests of Radha Gopinath. And that immediately reminded me the story of Ghanshyam Baba. Ghanshyam Baba gave that principle, that you are the guest of Radha Gopijana Vallabh, I am servant of Radha Gopijana Vallabh. And practically I could see that how he put that principle into practice. Even though he was exhausted, such a big guru, ISKCON, GBC, but he personally gave time to those two newcomers, and made sure that they went happy from that, happily fed, and nicely they went back to the place. So his vision was always very big. At Radha Gopinath, the entire community is established on the foundation of hearing and chanting. In the initial days when Radha Gopinath temple, now you see all the gold leafing and everything, it was very simple. But the foundation was hearing and chanting. All devotees in the morning, we would chant together, Maharaj would be there with us, and then Bhagavatam class, evening Bhagavad Gita class, and for hours and hours, Katha. And we would think sometimes that we would be tired, looking here and there, getting up in between, but Maharaj would not be tired. He would be sitting with a straight back, and for hours, anybody who became devotee in 90s, practically every year, they have heard the full Chaitanya Leela, full Krishna Leela, and Ramayana. And for a few years, Brihad Bhagavatam. He made sure that we heard all these kathas completely during this entire year. Different festivals. In the evening, he would take sometimes, for different program. Every evening, practically, there was a program where he would be speaking. So he gave himself so much to establish Radha Gopinath community, just so that he can assist. The mood is always to assist Srila Prabhupada and to bring as many souls possible at the lotus feet of Sri Radha Gopinath. And he encouraged us. I remember as a young student, after 2 or 3 years in Krishna college, he said, you should start preaching now. You should start preaching and go to the universities, do some university program, bring more people. Even on Sunday feast, he had said that after Sunday feast, you should see. As soon as the Sunday feast is over, your duty is to see who is the guest. The whole system of welcoming new people who have come for the first time in Radha Gopinath started under his guidance. That as soon as the Sunday feast is over, they would made an announcement, And we would see all the new people who would come, and we would welcome them. And there was one special devotees who are sitting next to Srila Prabhupada so that they can give them books of Srila Prabhupada and special care of them by giving them prasad. But Maharaj had personally instructed few of us, the reason I am making them get up is, you should go talk to them, start building relationship with them, visit their houses, and try to bring them to temple more and more frequently. So it was his target is, he wants to nourish the existing devotees, but at the same time, don't miss the newcomers. And the newcomers also, lots of care. Sometimes I have seen that, some new devotees would come and they would ask very funny questions to Maharaj. And I would think, how can he tolerate, all this, somebody's asking such stupid question. But Maharaj would just patiently sit and answer. And those people today, they are such sincere devotees, preachers doing so many different services, just because he gave them that time. So his vision is always, what can I do for the people in this world? How can I bring more and more souls closer to Krishna? The reason for writing Journey Home was also that somehow through Journey Home, we can bring more and more, attract more and more people to Krishna consciousness. So this day, Guru Maharaj, I really want to pray that your mood, your vision of attracting and bringing as many souls as possible at the lotus feet of Shri Radha Gopinath, we can imbibe that mood and we can assist you in the mood of servant of servant. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Prabhuji, we are overwhelmed with loving affection for Guru and his beautiful disciples. And what can I say that your experience with Guru Maharaj for 35 years and you're sharing these valuable jewels with us is so meaningful. And when I every time I see you both, the enthusiasm, it is so radiant. And it's good that if there's anything that comes across so strongly, it is that enthusiasm. And Guru Maharaj, is so enthusiastic, and you're living that life, and it's very good for us to see. And thank you for sharing those nuggets of looking after the guest, because I personally had an experience myself when I came to Chapati, that the first thing Guru Maharaj asked me is, have you been taken care of? And one day I made a mistake that I didn't look as though I had. And the temple guest manager, he got chastising, I think. So just for anybody else, you have to be very careful. If Maharaj asks the question, that person's going to have it. So it is so important that being a guest at Maharaj is, if Maharaj is the host and the servant, there is no hope that no one else can fail him in that. He must provide the service for his Guru and Krishna. So thank you so much.
My only request is, I think we all, needless to say that we are all, there are tough times going on for the last 2 years, little less than 2 years, and we don't know how long. And honestly, these are tough times externally that we are battling this particular pandemic. But internally, what we are really battling is a lethargy in Krishna consciousness. Because in lethargy creeps in, it is natural because our life has become very different. Not going to temples on Sundays, everything is sort of from home. Even the Vyasa Puja, we are sitting in our couches. I can see Radhanath Prabhu sitting in a very comfortable couch. And sitting for Vyasa Puja. So obviously life has become quote unquote very comfortable. And when Krishna consciousness is comfortable, it is a risk. So I'm not saying we should not be comfortable, but it is important that we don't get this comfortable life lead towards lethargy. And that's what Maharaj is all about, to really keep Krishna conscious principle very active and to be wanting to do and every day is a day as if we are a new devotee. We have just become a devotee yesterday, and how was the enthusiasm the next day? That is what Maharaj is all about. Maharaj is, if you just became a devotee yesterday, you got to chant. You came to know about chanting just yesterday. How would you chant your rounds today? Right? So that is what Maharaj is. He brings about that freshness always in life, and that's what we need to, we just, no point when Prabhupada said, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, everybody, what does it really mean to say Jai Prabhupada? It's not that. What it means is that we may say Jai Prabhupada, but what really Jai Prabhupada is to really, in a day-to-day life, minute to minute, imbibe that principle that he has taught. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we are internally facing, all of us, is to really keep Krishna consciousness very live, very agile, very active, very, very dynamic in our own lives. And as Kishori mentioned so wonderfully about how Maharaj taught us to extend it to people, the preaching principle that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually came to give, to extend to people and get more and more people to our fold. That's very important. Otherwise, we become, at least I can see, it is very easy to become sort of cocoonized in our own lives, cocoon. Just make a whole cocoon and we feel very comfortable, nice. But to really go out and be like a butterfly, to fly around each flowers and get the nectar, to become a butterfly, it's not easy to, it's easy to become a particular caterpillar in a cocoon. But to come out and fly all around and be a carrier of nectar, or rather be a collector of nectar, I think that's what Maharaj really teaches us, my dear friends. So I think, please, let us all really, and things are not going to really significantly, and I use the word significantly, at least for a year, not change significantly. It's still going to be all these crazy lockdowns and all these crazy unprecedented health situations. And as Kartik Chandra mentioned, we are not seen, even none of us have seen Maharaj. In fact, nobody has seen Maharaj because he has been himself in lockdown in Chicago. So we are not seen. So what does it mean? Does it mean that we become lax? No. How sad he will feel that when he sees that, okay, by physical person not being there, they become lax. So that is completely the last thing that we can do. So really to keep up the enthusiasm, we are trying by your blessings, and of course not easy. And hopefully we all try ourselves to really keep up the enthusiasm in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very, very much, my dear friends. And thank you for the opportunity for sharing and to be giving your wonderful association. Really just seeing devotees nowadays, just seeing them in rectangles on your screens itself is so refreshing. What we talk of really meeting them, so seeing each devotee so is so refreshing. And thank you for refreshing our lives today. And Hare Krishna.
Please don't forget us. We need your association more and more. If you can manage, we will be obliged to take your shelter. Hare Krishna.
I'm always, my chest is filled with the love for Manchester.
Yay!
My man and my chest is filled with Manchester.
Haribo.
Our man and our chest, I think.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much. So nice.
We very much love Maharaj.
How you, I mean, there was one devotee this many years back. One of the most hilarious stories I find. So there was one devotee who was a doctor who was appearing for his postgraduate exam to become a particular specialty doctor. And and he was appearing for exam and he would fail. Appear, he would fail. Appear, he would fail. And obviously, he was married.
In fact, he was failing because the teacher who was taking his exam, he was mentioning that he wanted a treat of non-veg and drinks and everything, and this devotee would not give. So every time he would take a revenge and fail him in the exam.
So the devotee failed, and he was so desperate because he had to pass, because by that time he was married and he had to really start his family. He had to earn money. So then Maharaj visited his house. He was studying. He visited his house. Maharaj said, "Oh, so which attempt you are giving now? Maharaj said, Maharaj, I have failed 4 times. This is my 5th attempt. So the devotee said to Maharaj, this is my 5th attempt of exam. Maharaj said, don't worry. The Panchatattva are very merciful. So they will bless you in your 5th attempt. And then he continued. I said, but don't worry. The 6 Goswamis are also very merciful. And then he continued. I said, don't worry. If the Goswamis are not merciful, if the Panchatattva is not merciful, then Ananta Koti Vaishnavas are very merciful. So basically, this devotee was laughing and laughing. As Maharaj said that you can keep on trying. And then he spoke about Panchatattva. And so this is the lighter side of otherwise Himalayan sadhu. So you find this unbelievable dichotomy in his personality, that here is a very serious Himalayan loner sadhu on one side who loves to be in seclusion, loves to be in caves, loves to meditate upon, eat 1 carrot a day, that type of person. And on the other side, he cracks just such amazing witty jokes. So this is just to inspire and keep the person. So of course that devotee, by the way, passed on that attempt, 5th attempt, he passed. And he's a wonderful doctor at Bhaktivedanta Hospital, one of the founder doctors. Don't ask me the name and don't even try to figure out who he is. But but this is what, just one story of the multitude stories of Maharaj, of how he makes things so sweet in our lives.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. We could continue this conversation, Prabhu.
I know we can. And you all must be hungry. It's lunch time for y'all. So I think you must be hungry. And I definitely want to. I feel so happy seeing my very dear friend from this very suburb that I was born and brought up, from a place called Malad. And my dear friend Dinabandhu Prabhu is right here. He's from the same very suburb that I am from, and we had wonderful memories. Dinabandhu Prabhu was a student in medical college, and you all know he's a brilliant guy, and he would ask me such tricky questions, such tricky questions, and I said, well, don't ask me all these questions. You chant Hare Krishna. That's because I couldn't deal with this fellow. He was such a heavily mental, but at the same time is such a sweet devotee now. Such a sweet devotee. I have not met him since years, but I'm so happy to see you, Prabhu. You're really so happy to see you, and thank you for giving the darshan.
My apologies to you, Prabhuji, for harassing you.
No, but this all ecstasies of preaching, isn't it? This is, you keep my spiritual muscles by asking me those very strange questions. You really made me strong. So thank you for that.
Prabhuji, I'm always grateful to your family, to Dwarkadesh Prabhu. You are my Path Pradarshak Guru. So my obeisances to both of you. Very good.
Dinabandhu Prabhu comes, yes, many of his cousins are wonderful devotees. Vraj Kishore Prabhu is one of his cousins. Hare Krishna Prabhu, who is a very dedicated brahmachari. So friends, relatives. I think your relatives are friends.
Prabhuji, they are my spiritual masters. I am the servant.
Yeah. So we met together in this house. So Dinabandhu Prabhu, we have very fond memories of you and the time spent with you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Radhamohan Prabhu, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I want to just clarify, you told me you want me to be, or us to be chief guest. Now I hate both the words, because I'm not chief, I'm only cheap. And I'm not a guest, I'm a family member. So please don't ever use this word again for me.
Dear family member.
I'm very happy to have it.
Family member.
So you made me a guest, yeah? That's not good. I am a family member. How can you call me a guest, and that too a chief guest? At the moment, you can call me a chief guest, but don't call me a chief guest. Thank you, Mataji. So happy to see you.
Last year when we celebrated Vyasa Puja, we all had planned that we will cook the same menu in the house, and then we all sat together having the same menu. So we got the feeling of Vyasa Puja. I don't know what you all have done, but we had done like that. And everybody made Maharaj's favorite aloo parathas, idli, dosa, pasta, and we all had together at home. You know,
And we kept the
videos on. So maybe sometime you can think. So we all felt as if, you know, we are
eating the same food,
eating the same prasad together.
Yes, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, you have raised your hands. You have a question?
Hare Krishna, Sridham Prabhu and Kishori Mataji. I just wanted to acknowledge all the wonderful anecdotes you've shared, and also your point on lethargy. I just wanted to assure you that at ISKCON Manchester, we are definitely not being lethargic. And the proof is that we have increased in size as a congregation. And Radhamohan Prabhu may be sitting very comfortably, but he did an amazing job last 2 years being in charge of our communication. We now have not just one, but 2 WhatsApp groups through which he manages all the correspondence with devotees. So we are definitely not being lethargic, and not just virtually. Not just virtually. 3 congregation members had a newborn baby, so we are growing like that as well in physical size. Also on the book distribution front, we doubled our efforts from 2020 into 2021, double number of Bhagavatam sets and Chaitanya Chaitamritas, and we served more than 1,100 devotees in the temple at the shop service also. So we are definitely not being lethargic. I just wanted to assure you that. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for all the inspiration. Thank you for all the inspiration. It's always wonderful to hear the 2 of you, because we draw inspiration from you, because you are close to the larger devotee family and Guru Maharaj. So you're our link into taking inspiration and encouragement from Radhanath Maharaj. Thank you for being with us and agreeing to be part of our family. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. And again, I must say, so happy to see Karthik Chandra Prabhu. Now, Karthik Chandra Prabhu is again a wonderful friend, very, very old friend. Practically, in one sense, a relative. We are relative to each other, even from physical point of view. We both are sort of far off cousins, and you know, we are so happy to see Karthik Chandra Prabhu. He has become a scholar of Sanskrit, and I feel so nice that to see him so wonderfully growing in Krishna consciousness. Karthik Chandra Prabhu, thank you for giving your darshan. Everything about you is shining.
It's only a reflection of your divine self.
Wonderful.
All your association all those years ago, and Kishori Mataji's love and affection, and I remember so many wonderful times we spent with Guru Maharaj in his room. We would go and see him. Yeah, his meetings. And once we had a Sunday feast. It was 16th of March, 26 years ago. And after the class, Sridhar Prabhu took all of us. We were young. I was a teenager. He took all of us to see Guru Maharaj in his room. And I think it was somebody's birthday. I think it was Manish's birthday. Manish's, Mukunda's birthday. Or somebody's birthday, it must be. So we were all in front of Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj said, "Oh, there is so many of you," because we couldn't fit in his room. His room was quite packed, and devotees wanted to really, push each other. And they were pushing in front of Maharaj. They were pushing each other. And Sridhar Prabhu also got pushed. And then Guru Maharaj looked at Sridhar Prabhu and said, "I thought that there are only 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. You are starting a new one, Sridhama Sampradaya." He said, "You're starting a new Sampradaya, Sridhama Sampradaya." And you see many wonderful instructions, many very loving exchanges that we experienced and we witnessed between Kishori Mataji and Maharaj, Sridhar Prabhu and Maharaj, and the shelter that they gave us in those initial days was really, really wonderful. And I remember my good friend Rohit Thanki and his dad and his mom, and that is Radha Mohan Prabhu, and so many wonderful devotees of those days. When I joined, it was very nice, as Srila Prabhu said, a very simple. Kishori Mataji said that that it wasn't as dazzling as it is now. Now I go to Radha Gopinath, nobody knows me, and they stop me from entering inside.
Don't worry, even on Sunday feast, sometimes we also don't know and they don't know us.
Once Kartik Chandra, once what happened is, once Bhakti Rasai Maharaj, he was not a sannyasi, he was a brahmachari. So he shifted from Bombay to Belgaum, right? So he had come for giving a Sunday feast class. So he was a sannyasi, so he was a brahmachari, so he was getting changed at in the passage. So so he had kept his clothes and everything. So one brahmachari pushed and said, "Hey, who are you?"
He said,
So he didn't know that this gentleman was the ex-president of the Chopati. He was a president. So I mean, people don't. There's so much dynamic. So there's another nice story about Kartik. I must share. It's one of my hilarious stories. Kartik's father. He was not happy that he's becoming a devotee, right? So Kartik Prabhu. So his name is also Kartik. Even his karmi name is Kartik, and his spiritual name is Kartik Chandra. So so Kartik became a devotee, and his father, I know him very well. So he was worried. Okay, what is this guy doing? What he's chanting Hare Krishna. Where is he going? So he came to the temple once to check what is this fellow. So he was searching and he didn't maybe find Kartik. So he asked one brahmachari. So he asked in Hindi, if you understand Hindi, "Hey, Kartik kab aata hai?" So he said, "When does Kartik come?" So the brahmachari said, "November or December." Say, "What?" क्या बोलता है तुम? मुझे पता है, रोज आता है। नहीं सर, रोज कैसा आता है? कार्तिक तो नवंबर या दिसंबर में आता है, अक्टूबर दिसंबर आता है। So that devotee was thinking Kartik month, and this father was mentioning Kartik. So his father got very worried. I mean, very excited. Why are you making fun of me? What are you talking? Roj, I know he comes there. Then they could clarify. Okay, well, I'm talking about Kartik month, and so I mean, this is rather Chopati temple. So many experiences here.
One thing about Kishori Mataji that really inspires me is her Guru Bhakti, is how much she has such deep, genuine love for His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, Guru Maharaj. And that is not artificial. It is spontaneous. It is from deep within the heart. And in many ways, she's not necessarily a devotee who's become a devotee from a very philosophical bend of mind. And again, she told me this, and I'm just repeating what she told me. It was just that loving relation that she experienced with Maharaj, and that, and for a great extent, Haripriya Mataji as well. That loving exchange that they had with Maharaj was more like a father and daughter. And, we can never really truly appreciate that deep bond. So I only pray that I can, emulate a fraction of the Guru Bhakti that she has. And Sridhar Prabhu's love for Maharaj, he would go mad. He would absolutely physically, I kind of control my emotions, but Sridhar Prabhu was like, he's just so excited when he's, anything to do with Maharaj, any service, taking the words of the Guru seriously is what I learned from Sridhar Prabhu. And both of them have been such wonderful couples. I was recently hearing from Niranjan Maharaj how much he loves them. And Chandramauli Maharaj told me, I asked him a question and he said, "Do you know Sridharma? You know Sridharma, go and ask him." So, he's a go-to person for all kinds of difficulties that we face. So thank you, Sridhar Prabhu and Kishori Mataji, for being here and inspiring all of us. And you must keep coming virtually keep coming till it's virtual, keep coming again and again, and then physically, be here with us and when the situation is improved. So Kishori Mataji, please bless me. I can become, have the Guru Bhakti like you, and I can follow the instructions of Guru Maharaj like you, Shridham Prabhu. That would be wonderful. My life would be a success.
Hare Krishna.
I just want to tell one thing. We all seek your blessings. Our daughter Radharani is going to enter into medical college now. So please bless her that whatever education she receives, she can use that education in the service of Lord Shri Krishna and the devotees, and assist Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. With whatever education she gets, whatever effort she puts in, that becomes a devotional service, and she can utilize, because medical studies are many years and a lot of hard work. But sincerely beg to all of you that please pray for her and please bless her, because I know in this world nothing is more precious than devotees' blessings. So I sincerely seek all of your blessings for her, and please keep her in your prayers that whatever education she gets, it can be used in the service of Hari and all devotees. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for sharing that. Hare Krishna. So we will now move on to Pushpanjali. Radhanath, are you leading that one?
No, Prabhuji. Pushpanjali will be led by Dinbandhu Prabhu, and then followed by the Aarti, Guru Puja at the end. So we're very thankful to Ujjwalmani Mataji and the family. You can see on the altar, she had made nice cake and the offering for Maharaj. Offering is already done. So we can virtually take Prasadam, Mahaprasadam from her house. And I'll ask now Dinbandhu Prabhu if you can begin the Pushpanjali. Now, because in Pushpanjali, it's a call and response. So if everybody responds and keeps their microphone on, it'll be a lot of disturbance in the Zoom. So I'll request one devotee, or if I can ask Madhu Kumar Prabhu, if you can be the respondent. So Dinbandhu Prabhu can call and you can respond, and everybody, you can keep your microphone off, but you can still reply, you can still respond. And that's how we do the Pushpanjali. And if you have flowers in the house, you can offer it to Maharaj, or if not, you can virtually offer the flowers to Maharaj when we say Esha Pushpanjali at the end. Okay. Over to you, Dinbandhu Prabhu. I'll share the Pushpanjali. I think I don't need to, I think it'll disturb the whole sharing thing. The screen will be shared. I think just keep it like as it is. Everybody can just respond to the Pushpanjali. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, I can send the link for the Vaishnava songbook, and if they want, they can open it and on their iPhones, and then they can read it over. I can send it over in our RNS group.
Okay, you can do that, Prabhuji. So if devotees wants to have the document, you can see it from there. But if not, then Dinbandhu Prabhu will call and Madhu Kumar will respond. You can just focus at Maharaj, in the altar and on the screen now. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru.
Radhanath, it will be helpful if you could share. Thank you.
It is on its way.
Hare Krishna.
Dinbandhu Prabhu, are you there?
I think my computer is...
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay, so I'm starting the prayers now. Om Agyan Timirandhasya
Om Agyan Timirandhasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Anjana Shalakaya
Chakshurun Militam Yena
Chakshurun Militam Yena
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha
Mai Shri Guruve Namaha
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Sthapitam Yena Bhutale
Pitam Yena Bhutale
Swayam Rupa Kadamayam
Swayam Rupa Kadamayam
Dadati Swapadantikam.
Dadati Swapadantikam.
Vandeham Shri Guru.
Vandeham Shri Guru.
Shri Yuta Padakamalam.
Shri Yuta Padakamalam.
Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha.
Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha.
Shri Rupam Sagrajatam.
Shri Rupam Sagrajatam.
Sahagana Raghunathanvitam.
Sahagana Raghunathanvitam.
Tam Sajivam.
Tam Sajivam.
Sadvaitam Savadhutam.
Sadvaitam Savadhutam.
Parijana Sahitam.
Parijana Sahitam.
Krishna Chaitanya Devam.
Krishna Chaitanya Devam.
Sri Radha Krishna Padam.
Sri Radha Krishna Padam.
Sahagana Lalita.
Sahagana Lalita.
Sri Vishakhanvitamscha.
Vishakhanvitamscha.
Om Vishnupadaya.
Om Vishnupadaya.
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale.
Krishna Prashaya Bhutale.
Srimate Bhaktivedanta.
Srimate Bhaktivedanta.
Swami Niti Namine.
Swami Niti Namine.
Namaste Saraswati Deve.
Namaste Saraswati Deve.
Gauravani Pracharine.
Gauravani Pracharine.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi.
Pashatya Deshatarine.
Pashat Deshatarine.
Namam Vishnupadaya.
Om Vishnupadaya.
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale.
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale.
Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta.
Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta.
Saraswati Iti Namine.
Saraswati Iti Namine.
Sri Varshabhanavi Devi.
Sri Varshabhanavi Devi.
Daitai Kripabde.
Daitai Kripadhe.
Krishna Sambandha Vijnana.
Krishna Sambandha Vijnana.
Daite Prabhave Namaha.
Ne Prabhave Namaha.
Madhurojjvala Premadhya.
Madhurojjvala Premadhya.
Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida.
Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida.
Sri Gaura Kirana Shakti.
Sri Gaura Kirana Shakti.
Vigrahaya Namostute.
Grahaya Namostute.
Namaste Gauravani.
Namaste Gauravani.
Sri Murtaye Dinatarine.
Srimurtaye Dinatarine.
Rupanuga Viruddhapa.
Rupanuga Viruddhapa.
Siddhanta Dvanta Harine.
Siddhanta Udanta Harine.
Namo Gaura Kishoraya.
Namo Gaura Kishoraya.
Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye.
Vairagya Murtaye.
Pralambara Sambodhe.
Vipralambara Sambodhe.
Padam Bujayate Namaha.
Adam Bujayate Namaha.
Namo Bhakti Vinodaya.
Namo Bhakti Vinodaya.
Satchidananda Namine.
Satchidananda Namine.
Gaura Shakti Swarupaya.
Gaura Shakti Swarupaya.
Rupanugavarayate.
Rupanugavarayate.
Gauravirbhava Bhumestvam.
Gauravirbhava Bhumestvam.
Nirdeshta Sajjana Priyaha.
Vesha Sarvajana Priya.
Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri.
Krishna Sarvabhauma Shri.
Jagannathayate Namaha.
Gannathayate Namaha.
Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha.
Vancha Kalpatarubhasya.
Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha.
Pashindubhevacha.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
नमो महावदन्याय
नमो महावदन्याय
कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते
कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते
कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य
कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य
नामने गौरत्विषे नमः
नामिने गौरतिष्वे नमः।
पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं
पंचकल्पात्मकं कृष्णं
भक्तरूप स्वरूपकम्
भक्तरूप स्वरूपकम्
भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं
भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं
नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्
नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्।
हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो
श्री कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो
बंधो जगतपते
दीनबन्धो जगत्पते
गोपेश गोपिका कांत
गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता
कांत नमोस्तुते
कान्त नमोस्तुते।
जयतां सुरतौ पंगो
तान् सुरता पंगो
मुंदामतेर्गतिर्
मतेर्गति
मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्बोजौ
मत्सर्वसुरभदाम्बोजो
मदन मोहनो
मदन मोहनो।
दिव्यात् वृन्दारण्य
हरे कृष्ण।
कल्पद्रुमदः
कल्पद्रुमदः
श्रीमद्रत्नागार
श्रीमद्रत्नागार
सिंहासनस्थौ
सिंहासनस्थौ
श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवौ
श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव
प्रेष्टालिभिः सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि
प्रेष्ठलीभिः सेव्यमानौ। हरे कृष्ण।
श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी
श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी
वंशीवटतटस्थित
वंशीवटा तटस्थिता
हर्षं वेणुस्वनैर्गोपी
वेणुस्वरे गोपी
गोपीनाथ श्रियेस्तुना
गोपीनाथ श्रियेस्तुना
तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी
तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी
राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी
राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वृषभानुसुते देवी
भानुसुते देवी
प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये
नमामि हरिप्रिये।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंद
प्रभु नित्यानंद
श्री अद्वैत गदाधार
श्री अद्वैत गदाधार
सादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा।
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा
कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे
कृष्णा हरे हरे
राम हरे राम
हरे राम हरे राम
राम हरे हरे.
राम राम हरे हरे.
We'll read the Pranati mantras for His Holiness Radhanath Swami, and after each recitation of Esha Pushpanjali, we can offer prayers and then we can offer obeisances. Nama Om Vishnupadaya
नमो विष्णुपादाय
Pristhaya Bhutale
कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले
Srimate Radhanath
श्रीमते राधानाथ
Swami Iti Namine
स्वामी निति नामिने
Esha Pushpanjali
एष पुष्पांजलि
Pushpanjali
एष पुष्पांजलि
Pushpanjali.
एष पुष्पांजलि.
Now we can offer obeisances to Maharaj. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami. Nama Om Vishnupadaya
ओम विष्णुपादाय
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale
कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले
Srimate Radhanath
श्रीमते राधानाथ
Swami Niti Namine
स्वामी निति नामिने
Pushpanjali
Kesha Pushpanjali. Kesha Pushpanjali. Kesha Pushpanjali.
Please offer our Nama Om Vishnupadaya
Om Vishnupadaya
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale
Radhanath
Srimad
Swami
Radhanath
Namine
Aminiti Namine
Kesha Pushpanjali
Kesha
Kesha
Pushpanjali
Pushpanjali
Kesha Pushpanjali Kesha Pushpanjali.
His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Haribo Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Dinbandhu Prabhu. That was so nice of you. Very nicely done, Pushpanjali. Thank you very much, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, for acting as a respondent. Thank you so much. So now we move on to the Guru Puja. That is the final program for the today. Madhav Kumar Prabhu, if you can ask your singers to sing be ready with the Guru Puja singing, and Ujjwal Mani Mataji shall be offering the Aarti to Maharaj on behalf of all of us today.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the opportunity. So we'll try and do the Guru Vandana together. The worship of Shri Guru, composed by Srila Bhakti, Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Ujjwal Mani Mataji, ready? Shall we start?
You can start, Prabhuji, yes.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Naam Sankirtan Yagi ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, and thank you very much, very much, Julmani Mataji and family for decorating such a wonderful altar and doing the offering and the engaging us actually in your service. So thank you so much for your wonderful service. So Mataji, you can give us some virtual arti to all of us here. Just put it near the camera, so we can all take the arti. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. So at this time, I would like to thank all the devotees who participated today. All our God family members. We because of you, today's event was possible, and all the devotees worked very hard. And just your presence, everyone's presence had increased the nectar many million times just because of your presence. So just before we leave, just one prayers to our beloved Lord, that may this pandemic finishes very soon, and next Vyasa Puja we do it all together in our physical presence. Not too much of Vani. Now we have to do some Bapu association. So I believe this is the the Lord's way of increasing our taste for the physical association of all our Vaishnava devotees. So maybe next year we'll all get together in a physical association. So on behalf of all our God family members, I offer my obeisances to each of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So we conclude today's event. If anybody has any words to say or something, we can give about 5 minutes. So if you want to say something, you can just raise your hand or unmute yourself, and we can just say our thank you to each other. Then we can leave. Okay, Gunaraj Prabhu, he has something to say.
Yeah, I would like to, of course, you mentioned, but I would like to thank all the guests that so kindly attended this program. Apologies, we are not able to give our attention to you as it is a virtual program. But from the bottom of our heart, on behalf of our RNS disciples, we thank everyone, all the guests, for giving their time and attending. We are very grateful to you. Unfortunately, we are not able to serve you on this occasion because of this online virtual sangha. Otherwise, we would have given, we would have definitely served you with prasadam. So our apologies for that. But again, thank you so much for your kind presence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So I think we'll stop the program now. I think it's very late. We are about 50 minutes late. So this is a sign that we are successful. If you are late, you are successful. So we don't take prasadam now. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Radhamohan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Everybody can come to my house and have a prasad, Prabhuji.
I'm there for the cake.
Yes.
Thank you for the kind invitation. Get everything ready, Mataji. We'll be there shortly.
Okay, Prabhuji. We ready. No traffic today.
No traffic. Yes. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your sweet words as always. Haribol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'll be ending the meeting from my side.